Good evening. Welcome to your Ass Hurts News Network, coming to you live from the tip top of Cock Tower Square with your host, Sergeant Friday. Sarge, how you doing?
Doing awesome. Doing awesome. What the hell? I was just, I was outside and through the hazy moonlight, I was reviewing my reflection in a paved section of my driveway that reflected off of a garbage can that's dark brown during the day but black at night. And I look pretty good.
Oh, yeah. There you go. I've been.
I am like the stud of the darkness, from what I can tell. Even Clue might find me attractive. It's just, I'm just saying.
Only if you're on Amazon.
Well, yeah, that's true. Next to those fucking toilet seats that spray your ass with high pressure water.
The chili ring pressure washers of America.
There you go. Your balls don't itch anymore, do they, Alexa? I played that from one of my fucking relatives the other day. They were like, only you would find a way to do that. I was like, I was bored. Oh, shit. So we got I Am Me. Who's in here? We have Grant Magelli. We have who's in here? I can't even see. Me. I'm in there more times in chat than anyone else. SK. Carl. 5.63 billion morons on social media. Your queen is here. Let's give him a round of applause. I'm never going to hear it again. I spelled Grant's name wrong. I spelled him Grat. Well, that might even be more appropriate. Well, time will tell, right?
Carl, I was going to say Carl's pronouns are Carl and Ferguson.
We just gave him a standard moderation wrench, the Grant Clarkson.
Well, all right.
He's in here often enough. I don't know where the hell he came from, and he doesn't know where he's going, so it's all going to fit perfectly. I had the pleasure of being on True. What's the Lana show there? I don't even know how to. I forget titles.
Truth and Transparency.
That's it. TNT. I was on TNT today.
We were up on
back and forth. Yeah, I was up on her panel.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you tell her about her smoke detector being replaced by her cackle or whatever as you said?
Well, no, I brought up that I do bring her up on my channel often, and some of the stuff she references, and even that cackle of hers, I've mentioned it several times. She just cackled at me. It was nice. Holy shit! I mean, you can't know me not to be, fucked with. If you know me, I'm going to fuck with you. If you don't know me, then I'm going to fuck with you. It's just universal for me.
Yeah.
Vance Savant is in here. Go ahead.
Everybody's one of the 5.63 billion, so you're going to get fucked with if Sarge is aware of it.
I never run out of targets. It's a target-rich environment.
Yeah.
Right?
Ain't got enough barrels to hit them all at once.
What did that general say during the Battle of the Bulge when his lieutenant said, "Sir, we're surrounded," and he said, "Fantastic! For the first time during the war, we could wherever we look, we could shoot Germans." Oh my God, such an insane thing. But I was just taken aback that so many of these losers out here, like Clue did a show, and I stopped in there a little earlier. And I don't know who that person is, the Julie, the profound autist. She's an insult to people like me that are on the spectrum. She shouldn't even be using that word, the filthy little whore. Well, maybe she's not a whore, but she's filthy. She probably smells, and I'm sure Tommy Jude could catch her doing something unbeknownst to anybody in a reflection. And if not, Bubbly Waters will take an image and spread a pixel out so much that by the time you're done, you got the fucking Star-Spangled Banner on the fucking screen. People are insane, bro.
Well, and if neither one of those fails, she can just draw the perpetrator's face on a fucking watermelon and call him guilty. How about that?
Yeah, well, Tommy Jude saw him in a potato chip, pointed it at the fucking sun. The sun burned through the chip, hit the fucking car, bounced off the car, and wow, there's someone in the tree that fucking peed on fucking Ethan. Nasty motherfucker. Unbelievable what these people come up with. And here's the best part is they have an unlimited audience. It was like that general during that battle. No matter where he shot, he was shooting at a German.
Yeah.
So I guess it's hard for these people to recover from their fucking deep-rooted fucking evil hate and ignorance because they're supported by so many other people that are on the same page as them. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
it's really interesting to go into some of the fucking just the craziest fucking streams and watch the chat. Right, I've watched the old fucking Bullhorn and this other lady called Crime Time Buzz, and I've watched Bullhorn a lot. Right, and
But
her chat's
there's another
filled with,
one.
huh?
There's another one.
Yeah, her chat's filled with people that are just they really are just fucking psychotic, like that fucking Caroline Miller that's trolled the fuck out of everybody's chat since we came to fucking YouTube. She's just all in there and just whatever Betty says, she's like, "Oh my god, what a great point!" Right? But then you go into somebody like Crime Time Buzzes, and this bitch is literally presenting everything that some lunatic fucking outfit is putting out on fucking Twitter, and she presents it as fact. But her chat, half of them agree and half of them go, "No, you're wrong," but none of them fucking leave. And it's like,
Yeah.
but the more that there are in there that disagree with her, the harder she pushes the narrative. And she pays no attention to the people that disagree. She just focuses on the ones that are buying into the bullshit she sells. And it's like, what in the fuck? It's just insanity. Absolute fucking insanity.
Well, listen, I find no pleasure and I think it's profoundly sad and devastating that one of those creators, I won't mention who, physically lost one of their children to a crime.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if it would be okay for me to start showing reflections of who did it, who didn't do it. If that person would be okay, if we did with the murder of their child what they're doing with the murder of these 4 innocents. And this is what I don't understand. When something that close to home is part of your real life, and you're going to come out on the internet and do the things you're doing with these people, these families' children, and yet, how would you respond if we did that with your children, your child that was lost to violence? And this is, I'm being serious here because it should be based on that level of simplicity, that level of fucking humanity, right? Do unto others as you want done unto yourself. And so I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to name the creator. Not that the creator's been shy in sharing that, but I mean, in a way, I'm trying to appeal to that person. Are you fucking insane doing what you're doing with this case? The only thing that really is like with the Sebastian case and any other case, the only thing that we really have the ability to stand in judgment of is the work and the information presented to us as fact. That's it. Not to go and make up a whole bunch of holy hell fucking scenarios of what coulda, woulda, shoulda. That's desecrating the dead. Or am I being like fucking too holier than thou, or does any of that make sense?
No, it makes complete sense. And I mean, look, I'm not going to sit here and say that, everybody doesn't go down a fucking rabbit hole.
Right. No, I'm not going to say
I'm
I
not,
didn't do that either, but
at some fucking point, the thing I think that separates us is fucking realizing it and then what you fucking do with it once you realize it. And I've literally witnessed some of these motherfuckers realize it and continue with it because it gets them fucking attention. And it's like, what in the fuck are you doing?
it's, and that's that. Now, when you jump over to politics, it's the same way. Nobody looks to see how the Biden administration got to the point where it got and made it through 4 years with a bumbling, fumbling, fucking brain dead son of a bitch. How did all these policies, where did all these ideas come from? Not out of his head. But what happens is when the guy speaks to the people, all people want to do is talk about his bumbling, fumbling, idiotic life and how he's a fool. In other words, all of the drama and nonsense matter. But how the fuck really, just how the fuck is this country function with somebody that's that mentally incapacitated? Who actually ran our country for 4 years? That's the question. Who actually killed these people in a case where the police have charged an individual, right? That's where your focus should be on. Not trying to solve the case based on some blurred image or sound or idea of some chaos. And then spread it all over the fucking world so that now you're accusing people that are from a sorority, they're from a grub truck, they're walking down the street in Banfield, they're on a police. You're accusing everybody. You're no better than the police officers that have done a half-assed job accusing Koberger. It's even worse that you're impugning all these individuals that may or have nothing. As far as we know, we could factually say none of that bullshit has anything to do with this case.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
None of the bullshit about Chris's past or Katie's past or Seth's past has anything to do with it. What has anything to do with it is the here and now. Put everything else on the fucking back burner. You got fat bastard using some screwball named Tony that showed his pecker on a live stream, and then claims it was what? Some distorted. I mean, do I need Butthole Betty and fucking Tommy Jude to come in and examine that fucking pecker reflection? Or do we all see his pecker?
The pecker reflection. The reflection seen around the world. Oh, fuck. That's funny.
Holy fuck, bro. And then what are they going to do once they see that reflection? Are they going to start fucking seeing fingers and fingernails? I don't know what the fuck they're going to. They'll probably carry that out to who knows to where. A pecker reflector. The fuck, by the time Bubbly Waters is done blowing that up and pixelating that to the fucking 12 trillionth fucking power, you don't know what you're going to come up with once these people start fucking gazing at that. For most people that saw the stream, it was pretty clear what that was. It was an embarrassing little penis. Cletus?
I mean, you know, it is what it is. Oh, it was something. It was enough for him to come out and fucking fake a damn video to show that it wasn't what happened, even though his video didn't fucking line up with what really did fucking happen. It wasn't being disputed. It's like, what the fuck are you doing, man? But I mean, it just shows the level of fucking idiocy that exists with some of these fucking people. And then you've got fucking hongs, big fat fucking useless fucking ass living in his mama's fucking basement, talking about every fucking body and their brother is a relative of Chris or Katie and on fucking drugs and selling drugs, and the Texas Roadhouse green hoodie person was a drug handoff, and they fucking the green hoodie person was Clue, and then the green hoodie person is dead, and then it's fucking insanity.
That's what I mean. They take these things into the depths of stories and creation that make no sense if you look at it objectively, but even worse, it doesn't do any good for any of the people that are suffering, and it doesn't do any good in the way of trying to find where this young man went. I mean, okay, so let's just say the guy in the hoodie did it. Now what, assholes? Let's just say Tommy Jude is right and 4 people pissed on the guy's face. Now what, asshole? What are you going to do with that information? You fucking morons. You don't do anything to follow up. Go find me the 4 people that pissed on Nathan's face. You're going to put that shit on the fucking internet, you sick bastard. What if they said that about, I'm not going to go there, but you follow what I mean? Mm-hmm. They come up with all these side fucking stories, and there's never any way to conclude them because it's some fucking bullshit you're seeing on your phone or on a computer screen. Okay? And you don't need Einstein to tell you you can't solve a quadruple homicide or a mysterious missing child by looking at a fucking cell phone screen. The world don't work that way. You guys may think they're smartphones, but they're only smart in comparison to your ignorance. Cletus?
No truer words have been spoken. You heard it here first.
Yeah. Some think the defense is watching. Yeah, like that Pavarotti. He's that fucking. There's another fucking wackadoodle fucking twit. Everybody that solves this case and doesn't pay attention to what's going on in front of you, where you may in fact be losing your fucking rights, your government might be trampling your constitutional freedoms, and you're ignoring that. Your government was hijacked by people unknown, and they use Biden as their face of fucking government. You don't even pay attention to that. You're too busy making fun of Joe Biden or his kid, Willie whacking his pecker around crack pipes. That's not the story. The story isn't whether Katie or fucking Chris slapped the kid or disciplined it. It's not the story is he went missing. How about the family in fucking where's it down in Australia, right? Where they said ate your baby. What ate the baby?
The dingo.
The dingo ate your baby, right? Mm-hmm. And they were turned out to be true. How many years did they accuse those parents of getting rid of their own kid? And in the end, the dingo ate your baby was true. I mean, if you need references to understand that what you need to pay attention to is what's right in front of your fucking face, what the police, what the defense, what the government is putting out there for information, that's all it needs to be paid attention to. These parents were destroyed with the one where the dingo ate their baby, right? What about the other one where that beautiful young model girl went missing in Europe? What's her name? I can't even remember.
I don't know.
And you know, the parents were in the house when the kid went missing. And so everybody jumps on the bandwagon to destroy them. Is that because your life is so fucking meaningless to yourself that you've got nothing better to do? Which I could say that at least for the period of time I'm on here, that probably applies to me by going after these jerk-offs. I'm not exempt from any of it. I want people to be clear. I'm as fallible and non-exempt as anyone else. However, I do my best not to be that kind of asshole to the people that are involved. I don't know anything about sororities over there, or football players, or band field, or what the fuck these kids choose to eat or not eat, or when they eat, or what time, or where they walk, or when they walk, or how they walk. It's got nothing to do with the fucking Kohlberger crime. Do you follow me?
No, I do. 100%.
How about that same bitch today with Chris? Well, why was he hostile? Well, you motherfuckers were stalking him. You were posting on the internet where they were going, trying to see what they were buying. And are you serious? This guy's not supposed to be angry and not supposed to be defensive when you want to talk to him on a stream, and then you're going to bring up something that has nothing to do with nothing and expect him to answer it in a way that satisfies you, you fucking empty-headed bitch. What is that?
Yeah, she's fucking something. I don't know. There's been a lot of debate over whether she's the replacement for old Bullhorn Betty when she ends up going to fucking jail. But it's like I don't even know that that's gonna fucking happen because all of their fucking cohorts don't want anything to do with that bitch. That's how fucking out there she is. It's like Jesus Christ.
Who's Sean? Someone says keep the bashing Sean. Who's Sean?
Seth.
Oh,
because Dog called him Sean whenever the first time he was talking about the case.
Can I just say that I want to say this because I think even he deserves a level of compassion in that he is a victim, regardless of what he's done. Even out here, he's lost his son. Right now, that deserves a little level of compassion. What he's done with that, and he's done it publicly, and he does it constantly, and he's out here constantly doing it. That needs to be evaluated and summed up. I mean, if we're able to, if someone's actually able to say that Chris is this, and that, based on Chris doing this, or that, or they misinterpret what Chris said, or they only part out what parts Chris said to make their point, there's something seriously wrong with people that treat victims like this. There really is. Now, what they've done since the kid's gone missing, is there anything unusual that I've seen? Nothing, a report, nothing that the Rogers family has done that's suspicious since this event was reported. Nobody knows what happens prior to the report. I don't know, right? You don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know based on what we've heard. Seth don't know based on what he's heard, right? What we've heard from him. Mm-hmm. But he is acting like a little fucking retard out
here. He's acting like fucking something. And then he hired people or convinced. I don't know if he hired them or just fucking found them and convinced them, or they convinced him to let him take his fucking place. And Jesus, I thought he was fucking bad, but the group of fucking goons he's got, he's aligned himself with or let separate him from the shit show are just fucking unreal. Like, it is absolutely unreal.
I don't think that there's an issue here of whether you support bashing or not. I think bashing is earned. People do earn a bashing with their behavior, and they need to be confronted with it. Right? And free will has got nothing to do with paying attention to common sense, which are the facts of the issues we're looking at, whether it be politics. If you're trying to design a rocket, you don't need somebody in the fucking background screaming, look at the reflection on the wall over there that bounced off the car. You're trying to build a fucking rocket. Do you really think you could successfully build a rocket with the advice and observations of people like Tommy Jude? Are you serious? The fuck, that thing would blow up before it ever got out the door. You might not even find the right wrench to tighten the right fucking bolt hanging around people like that. And they need to be pointed out. That's just what you're fucking like. That's the kind of people you are. Stop. Quit impugning innocence. Everybody's innocent, including Brian Kohlberger. And there is no evidence against anyone that these people talk about, except in their own fucking head, except in their own dreary, drug fucking manipulated fucking mushroom fucking chewing minds. And they derive these from images that are not part of the evidentiary accusations against the accused. They're in their own fucking brain with it. Like that woman going after Chris today. It's in her brain. Hitting a child with a belt is abuse. And they interpret it in some really outlandish, fucked up, and people, viewers, they need to fucking point that out. That's just, it's not even that it's just inappropriate. It's stupid.
Then she supports her views by recording fucking video of her stepson, who is autistic, throwing fucking fits in her kitchen, and then using that as an example of, you know, an autistic person and how you know, what you would deal with as an autistic parent, and that she would never lay a hand on him. And it's like, you're just a nasty fucking cunt. Like you are. Your fucking husband should be embarrassed that he married you and put you in fucking as a responsible fucking adult figure over these fucking children.
And
like,
people
what the fuck
engaging
is wrong with both of you?
And the people engaging with her and these other people I'm mentioning. Let me just say this: there is good news, folks. The cure doesn't need fucking pharmaceutical companies to get involved, and the cure for this problem doesn't need some fucking massive psychiatry investment. Cut it the fuck out. Cure for free. You guys now all owe me. Quit encouraging and baiting and fucking pushing these people with theories. I went into a Facebook group the other day just for the balls of it, and I posted in there. Is this place interested in the facts of the case as presented, or is this place about he's guilty or innocent? And then I let it run. There's some guy jumps in there screaming, "It isn't Koberger. I can prove it. It was a 2019 this. It was this. It was." And I said, dude, I don't know why you're telling me all this. Go down to fucking Moscow and make your argument with the fucking police or the FBI. What kind of a screwball are you? You know who did it. What the fuck is that? Is that really where our discussion should be, or should it be at the case being laid out, the accusations as they appear against this individual and what they're doing with these accusations? Who the fuck are we to think we can solve this? What kind of mental fucked up people are we to think that we can solve this, or that we can destroy the parents and they're going to break and tell us the truth? What?
Yeah, that's the part that's, you know, people can sit out here and have their theories and all that shit, and, you know, I get it. Everybody, well, if they really think about a case, they'll go through the same fucking theories, you know, and some people will just choose to come on here and talk about it. But to do shit to purposely fucking attack the parent in hopes of pressuring them to the point of cracking and telling what the fuck happened that they don't even fucking know is just beyond me. It's absolutely fucking beyond me.
Watch it, Odin girl. Watch this. Don't be picking on my T-Bone Thursdays. Sarge don't live like that. Holy shit. I mean, there's so much more. This all goes back to what I was saying, and everybody that knows me knows I've been saying this from the beginning. We as a group have mentally mind-fucked ourselves into irrelevance. We're being entertained as the world, and especially our country, is being destroyed around us. In every one of these cases, okay, I would separate Sebastian somewhat, but in all of the criminal and all of these political cases, it's your systems and those people in charge of those systems that are your problem. You're not going to solve the Idaho 4 on the internet like Pavarotti thinks he has. He thinks he's a superstar, and he is in his own brain. I mean, how hard is it to be a superstar in something the size of a fucking pea? Not really that hard, folks. This guy comes out with all of this effort and all this. That's what a con artist does. This guy, he should work in the financial fucking industry. That's what he should do. And he probably did. He's probably somebody that did something criminal like that. And I don't know the guy, but he's just one of those guys that'll talk a fucking fish into walking in the desert. That's just the way he is. But does that make what he's doing worthy of fucking attention? No. Who the fuck is he to solve this case and accuse and impugn other people? And he's going to rest on their arrests and their background, when his arrest and background is as bad as the people he's impugning. This guy's smarter than everybody else on the fucking planet, and through use of his cell phone and looking up fucking Rule 16.775 and talking about that like he knows about. He's just a great con artist. He does nothing to help anything except make it worse. because thousands of you follow idiots like that because you think you found someone that cares or someone that knows what they're talking about. And that guy has no fucking clue what he's talking about. He's made up a story and he's presented to you information that makes it look viable or even real. But, you know, how many of you believe in fucking UFOs, you fucking idiots? How many of you believe in Bigfoot, you fucking twits? Where the facts can disprove that, but you won't accept the facts. How many of you believe in the flat earth, you fucking morons? And now you run to a guy like Pavarotti and you think, he's holy fuck. If I had to pick, and you know, like a lot of hung up on me today without even giving me a kiss goodbye. I was almost offended, but again, you know, things go that way. You know, how does what Tommy Jude's doing mean anything to anybody as far as what reality? What is your reality in today's world, folks? What's your individual reality? Is it chasing fucking ghosts that Tommy Jude puts in fucking front of you? Is that your fucking reality? Is there's something you need help, motherfucker? We need you on our team trying to fix the fucking injustices that exist that we're looking at with our own two fucking eyes that you can read, right? They're called PCAs. They're called fucking motions. They're called fucking testimony. They're called fucking, right, evidence. And this goes for all of the stuff we're looking at. Same thing in the Sebastian case where you have scarcely none at all. So what can you do? Well, I don't suggest you attack the fucking parents. I don't suggest you give airtime to one of the parents that couldn't find with both of his hands. He couldn't find his ass in a room full of mirrors. Leave that guy alone. Tell him to calm down. We're going to help. Right? Be a fucking human being to each other instead of this nonsense. And then I won't have to come out here and be inhuman to you fucking morons. Cletus.
Yeah, it's I don't know. You know, especially with the Sebastian case, there's been a saying going around for a couple of months now: when somebody shows you who they are, fucking believe them. And what is just absolutely fucking appalling to me is you've got this fake fucking intelligence agency that's literally ran by a guy that was convicted of fucking fraud. And it's ran by him and another guy involved in the same fucking organization that was around when the guy was convicted of fucking fraud. And they've got everybody believing that they're going to solve this fucking case by pressuring the shit out of the mom and stepdad, but only via social media, of which they pay no fucking attention. But they've got an army of fucking goons believing this shit and living and breathing it all fucking day, every day. And it literally got to the point, right, where I got fucking pissed about this fucking Hong guy, right? And I started doing some fucking research of my own. And I realized today, I'm sitting here researching on somebody that's already showed me who the fuck he is. He's a fucking fraud. He's a fat fucking nobody that, as you said, couldn't find his ass with both hands in a room full of fucking mirrors. Why am I wasting my fucking time? I should be fucking ashamed of myself. But at the end of the day, you're not going to convince anybody that doesn't already know who these fucking people are of what they truly are, because people just don't fucking care. It's what the sick fucking reality I come to a lot of, the fact that 99% of this shit out here is for no other purpose than entertaining the 5.63 billion fucking morons.
But it's a disgusting form of entertainment. Let me just say, if these fucking people that I listed in the title took one pixel of their bullshit and turned it on themselves, they probably wouldn't be doing this. They'd probably, like the rest of these streamers that are doing this, and I'm doing it right now, in as much as I'm going after these people and pointing out you'd be better off fucking drinking bleach. That would probably be as effective for your fucking health as listening to what these people are trying to sell you. And they are selling you. That's the other thing. My sales pitch is simple. Stop being fucking stupid. Pay attention to what matters. Get together as a collective of people, right? Start making petitions or websites and start pointing out the fucking parts of society that are fucking broken. And get people to sign on to that. Look at yesterday it was announced that as soon as Mark Zuckerberg it came out and was honest with what his website was really doing, the left wingers started fucking abandoning ship. They started to boycott fucking Facebook. Huh? You mean to tell me these little fucking people with their penises attached to their fucking forehead have enough sense to take their money somewhere else, but we don't? Huh? And we're smarter than that group? Really? Oh my God, I'm glad to be a part of this fucking group that does nothing but talk shit 24/7. And anybody that can add more shit to the fucking pile, you people are ready to jump right on fucking board with this that person. You some nasty motherfuckers out here. It's like drama's all that matters. Results, well, and you've become entitled. You expect your government to behave a certain way, and when they don't, you get outraged and fucking come out here and cry about it. You don't get. I mean, Cletus, it's mind fucking boggling. It's almost like during the Holocaust, if every Jew had their own tank, okay? They all own tanks, yet they all died in the fucking fires of ovens. How do you explain that, Cletus?
Yeah,
right? 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust, and they were all armed with their own fucking battle tanks, and they never fired a shot. That's what we are out here on the internet in America. What a bunch of fucking listless motherfuckers we've all become. We're all in our own personal battle tank. We all have the ability to communicate. We all have the ability to affect change. We all have the ability to agree and disagree, right? We all have the ability to do something, but you think Trump will fix it. If not Trump, Kamala will fix it. Or, holy fuck. And, well, it's not about how fucked up the Idaho forest. Let's not look at how fucked up their investigation is. Let's just fucking try to pretend we can solve this case. And meanwhile, the real issues that ill society are your constitutional guardrail between the government and you. They've ripped that guardrail down and they're trampling all over it. And people like Jeff H. and other that want to support the fucking government doing that need to be thrown the fuck out of the country. What kind of fucking idiot is that? Whatever the government says, he goes with it. And where there's a hole in the government statement, he makes up an excuse for it. Shut the fuck up, you fucking stupid motherfucker. Then you're going to pretend you're religious and Mr. Guitar Player. What a fucking con man he is. And you people are all too fucking stupid to see through him. Holy Christ. Cletus.
He's one of many.
He's one of fucking thousands. And they attract the fucking views of hundreds of. And I don't want you to come here to this channel. Just the few of you that come here, wake the fuck up and start correcting other people. I can't get the 5.63 billion morons, but you morons can get in touch with each other. Cletus.
You're just giving everybody the tools to go fix themselves, huh? Is that what you're saying?
Well, there's no other way to do it. There just is no other way to do this, right?
The gospel of Sarge.
It's not even a gospel. It's just the How about if we call them the observations of Sarge?
There we go. The observation of Sarge.
Some people will see it. Some people are sitting in a position like, yep, you're right. I agree. I see it too. There's a bunch of people like that. But versus the 5.63 billion, we don't stand a chance. We're being overrun. We got too many Tommy Judes and butthole fucking Bettys and fucking bubbly fucking Waters. She must be farting in her fucking tub talking to herself. Cletus.
Maybe she's checking for reflections in her bubbly water.
Fucking broad stretches out in the tub, and all them fucking fat greases are going to release all the gas that's been trapped in them, and it's going to be a fucking mess. You're going to think the water's under boiled.
Oh, yeah, fuck.
Jeff H. in the shower curtain.
I haven't heard that one.
Oh, that's what he used to protect himself from any fucking transfer from the crime scene. According to Jeff, he covered the interior of his car with it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Fuck.
I just think what a waste of fucking time and what a waste of fucking brain power. Just think of if you were to consider this like watts, like a light bulb, look at the trillions of watts of light that are being wasted with this fucking bullshit. And all the energy it takes to run the internet. It's not even, you can't even bring that up. But just the brain power people invested into this nonsense is insane.
Yeah.
I mean, move from planet to planet. Fuck, we should be able to move between fucking universes with all the fucking energy we place in our brains into the internet. If we just transferred it to something fucking productive.
Yep.
I think Idaho should be getting a barrage of fucking letters. We want to know what the IGG is. Are you violating the constitutional freedoms of Americans? Are you fucking digging up people in databases where you don't belong? Are you jumping from database to database? Are you, right? And the whole process, like there's that next hearing coming up. And I agree completely with Lana. This needs to be public. They shouldn't be hiding anything from us. It's not their job to play got you. There are people that are us. They're you, me, and others that are there to enforce the laws. And whatever tools that they have, we need to be aware of. And if we find them to be crossing the fucking breaking down the wall between us and freedom, then we need to know that, and they need to stop it. Right? I mean, catching a criminal is not as easy as people think it is. It's not like Jeff just agree with everything the state says and case closed. And how do you know they didn't make a U-turn? I'll never forget. He said that to me when I was actually talking to him. And I don't think I've ever been as stumped by stupidity in my entire life.
Well, and I do find it interesting, right? That comparison between Sebastian being missing in this case and the Idaho case, right? Because in the Idaho case, you could show everybody what the fuck the government did wrong, right? It's right there in fucking front of you. In Sebastian's case, you really don't have anything to go off of, but everybody fucking wants to say that the government is corrupt and they fucking did wrong and all this shit and they fucked everything up when there's absolutely no fucking proof of it. And it's like, I don't understand why in one case where we have the facts that exist that show it, nobody calls it the fuck out. But in the other one where we have no facts that show anything, that's all anybody wants to fucking do. It's just insanity to me.
Right. Now, you do have that 3 dogs out of 18 apparently tracked on the same trail. Doesn't mean they all ended up at the pond. I don't know why that girl couldn't get that. I didn't hear him say 3 dogs tracked to the pond. I heard him say that 3 separate dogs tracked the same trail. He never really said that all 3 of them ended up at that pond. One did, but he didn't say any other dog did. But whether they did or not, it was 3 out of 18, right?
Right.
15 to 18 dogs. So that's a piece of information that you could put on your whiteboard and hold to see where that leads to. And it hasn't led anywhere, right?
Right.
All right, let's see if this works. I got a call in here. Let's see how this works. If I can answer it. Yo, you're on the Your Ass Hurts News Network. Be careful because your ass may hurt. Who this? Who that?
It's great.
What's going on?
I don't really have much to say. You asked someone to test the phone out. So.
Yeah, I wanted to see if the audience can hear it. I know poor Cletus can't. Cletus would only be able to hear it, I think, if you opened up YouTube.
No, I can hear it.
StreamYard.
I can hear it. They just can't hear me.
Oh.
So.
Okay, so you can't now. All right, so you can't hear Cletus. That's a shame. But I'm real good at giving you whatever he says in verbatim. So we in the audience can trust old Sarge.
That's all right. I can't stay on anyway. I gotta go back to chat.
All right.
It's working, so I
someone else is trying to call, so I'm gonna get out of here.
Keep my ass. Goodbye. Later.
Yo, you're on Your Ass Hurts News Network. Yep, call in. The person hung up. Area code 203. Give it another try. 203. I will not identify who you are or any other numbers as far as I can tell on my stream. None of it should show. Your privacy is protected by old Sarge because we're talking about the TV show.
You got to come up with catchy little fucking ways to answer the phone, like your buddy T-Rev, like 203, you're on with me or some shit.
All right. Well, 203, call back. We'll come up with some catchy thing. Chat can't hear it. Oh, so you guys are saying Great Pearl. You guys can't hear the caller in chat?
It sounded like you had her on a phone or something instead of on the computer. It was weird.
Hey, 209, you're looking fine.
Hey, this is Salty Moments. I just wanted to say, hey, everybody.
Hey, thanks for calling in.
You're welcome. You have a great evening.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, we got another call, 614. Be careful, I'll throw you out the door. Go ahead, 614. Your ass may hurt while I throw you out the door. Cletus.
How you doing, Sarge?
I'm doing awesome, man. I hope this thing keeps working.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I was over there. I go by Ty Knott on here. I was over there on Lon live with you for a minute.
Oh, what'd you think?
What I think?
Yeah.
About trying to make things public, trying to make part of the hearings public.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it's kind of been going on like that way for 2 years now, so it's really nothing new. I mean, I think it should all be public, especially if the defendant wants it to be.
Right. I mean,
I think that's the biggest problem we have is that all this stuff is sealed and it had a gag order, for 2 years. So, nature abhors the void and so does the human brain. And so we're all just trying to fill it in.
I think the human brain in this case, though, has been manipulated to think that there's stuff sealed that go way beyond the IGG. And if we really paid attention to what's going on in the case, there's no indication that anything outside of the IGG and the FBI and those people found through the IGG work are what's being kept secret.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I agree with that.
So, a lot of people, like when they use the term, there's a lot of stuff we don't know. Yeah, it is specifically to IGG and the involvement of the FBI. And when they say witnesses or sources, they're also referring to the IGG work and the FBI based on what we can show or what they've shown us. Now, there is a remote chance that there's something we don't know, but it's highly unlikely because she's not asking to suppress it. And anything that they've derived from the way they've acted is being requested it be suppressed. So if there were an individual witness or if there were something else significant that they were keeping secret, there'd be a motion for it that would connect to it. And everything she seems to be doing points to the IGG work.
Yeah, pretty much so.
Right.
Yeah, I think there are some pieces of evidence that people don't really keep in mind or take into consideration. And, one was I was watching a video and they were showing, where the mainstream media got pictures inside the house and they were showing that Jack in the Box bag.
Right.
With Vanna's name on it. So Vanna's name is handwritten on that. Okay, so they should be able to just compare handwriting to, a lot of people that
wouldn't that be the worker that took the order though and then wrote it on the bag so the delivery person would know who's who? More or less, I think that writing would refer to the restaurant that created the food, not so much the person delivering it.
Yeah, but we don't really know if there actually was a DoorDash driver.
Well, no, we do know that based on the data given us as to whether it's we'll use our cousin Vinny. The veracity of those comments have not been vetted completely, but there was a DoorDash driver. And the data that we're given, we have to accept that at face value until and unless a contravening fact disproves it. So that's the funny thing with facts. Facts don't mean truth or false. Facts are an establishment of information used in a particular situation. So the fact that there is a fact that a DoorDash driver was there. Now, because they're telling us that, because they've written that, because it's in their charging documents and their accusations for warrants. So you have to accept it as fact until it can be proven otherwise. Fair enough?
Okay.
And that's where we all get into trouble, and all these con people are able to take advantage of people, and that the unknown is what they're always selling. Right? Or the cops always lie. Listen, I know government is dishonest, and a lot of the way our policemen are trained is they're trained in a very ineffective way, and it's dishonest. But that doesn't mean everything is a lie.
Yeah, correct.
Right? And you have to give the benefit of the doubt only until you understand all the facts. So as the facts are given to you, my way of dealing with them is to accept them at face value until they're disproven and or proven. But there's really, you can't really add or subtract from their statements because that's all that you really have in the folder called facts. You don't have any talk of the grub truck or the band field or a white pickup or some reflection off the fucking moon. There's none of that in any of this information. All we have is what they've given us. And Ann is doing a good job at tearing it apart with the testimony of the people that put it together, like Brett Payne and Mowery, when she put Cy up on the stand. So far, everything that we've witnessed is consistent with all the data that's been released, less the IGG.
Yeah, I'm beginning to think that the prosecution's strategy of dragging this out as long as it could is starting to work against them, because I think Ian Taylor is really taking advantage of the time.
Well, yeah, and the time and this discovery where you're giving somebody 68 terabytes of data and you're just throwing it on the floor like you're playing 52 card pickup with the evidence. Most of that isn't evidence, and a lot of folks hear that number and think, uh-oh. But you know, a lot of that is interviews with other people, other suspects. If they followed Brian, they got video. Imagine surveilling somebody 24 hours a day for 2 weeks. How many terabytes of data do you think that's going to collect?
Yeah.
Right? They put the camera in the parent's yard on Christmas Day and didn't arrest him till the 30th. How many terabytes of data were collected on those cameras? Because it may be more than one. So a lot of folks don't see it that way, but that's the only way you can view it, because that's the only data that you have. What they would rather do is start talking about the ancillary woulda, coulda, shoulda, maybe if, and they get off the rails with all that crazy shit.
Yeah, I think the only thing that's been figured out, or at least that I feel like I figured out, is the ordinary, normal routine that takes place in Moscow and around the university. You know, a lot of that stuff was new to me. I never really looked into fraternities and parties and things like that. And, so just trying to get an idea of what normal life was there, you know, right before this happened.
Right, and also, I really don't think people take a strenuous stand on them treating Koberger as you would a known criminal. So Brian Koberger, to our knowledge, never committed any significant crime. He took his sister's cell phone. It must have came from a fucking kitchen table or a bedroom side table. I mean, what a mastermind, right? So when they impugn him by stating that it's their experience that criminals turn their phone off, Brian Koberger isn't a criminal. There was a crime committed that night, yes. But the fact that his phone stopped reporting to a network does not indicate that that was an act by a criminal. What are you doing calling this kid a criminal?
I have to put my phone on airplane mode a lot, like every day, because where I live is just very poor reception, and it'll just drain the battery if I don't, you know, put it on the airplane mode. So.
Yeah, we live in a very precarious time where our eye is never on the ball anymore, and we let these con people out here with these fucking fabulous, outlandish stories, or these idiots that want to attack and impugn the people that are they're part, at this point, they're victims until they're not. And they should be getting, like I bring up people that are only associated with that accusation, with that house. I don't bring up names of people, like I don't bring on Enon Harsh. You don't ever hear me talk about Brent Kopaka. I will bring up Dylan. Why? Well, she's part of the absolute facts that we've been given. I don't step outside the circle of the facts that we've given. I may look at them and try to interpret what I'm seeing differently than what they're telling me, but I never step outside the bounds. I don't add something. I don't add her boyfriend. And it's not really that hard to observe things this way and pay attention to what matters. And then, you know, it just seems impossible for people like Pavarotti and others to focus on what appears to be a complete trashing of an American citizen through the Idaho Police Department.
Yeah, I think Pavarotti has pretty much proven that the Aryan Brotherhood group had nothing to do with it, because
how could he prove that?
Everything they do wrong.
No, but how could he actually absolutely prove that? The kid's sitting on his cell phone somewhere.
No, I'm saying that they didn't do it. Proof.
Yeah, but how can you prove that? You can't prove whether they did or didn't. He's not there. He wasn't there that night. He cannot. There's no way for him to know.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Right. There's no way for any of us to know. You know who knows whether they did it or not? Brian Koberger. Not even Ann Taylor. The only one that really knows the truth is Brian. His involvement being part of or not part of is only Brian can know that.
Yeah.
And so that hole gets jumped into by all these streamers that want to impugn. I mean, Cletus must have been there. Haven't heard a word from him. He might be out there. Did your phone disconnect? Are you about to commit crime, Cletus?
No, I'm here.
Okay.
I didn't do nothing.
And that's the point I'm trying to make, is that we for whatever reason allow ourselves to go down these, I don't even call them rabbit holes, to go down these insane pathways. And streamers clean up on that. They get thousands and thousands of clicks. And I don't begrudge people making money, but I wouldn't go around like I mentioned earlier. Someone lost a family member to a crime. I wouldn't go around telling stories about who woulda, coulda, shoulda that did that crime. I wouldn't do that to that person. Not because, and I don't even like that person. Literally, I still wouldn't do it to him. All right. Well, thanks for calling. I'm going to click off so I can talk to Cletus for a minute. Because he's say, "What the fuck am I doing here?"
All right, thanks a lot.
Oh, it's 614. Cletus,
Sergeant.
I live in the apartment right next door. Oh, so there, yeah. You guys did awesome. I'm glad people called in. That's kind of nice because I probably will use that more effectively when I don't have you as a co-host because it does become, like, I don't know, you're a spare tire and we don't have a flat, something like that. Holy shit.
I'm like the spare on the back of the Jeep, just there for decoration.
There you go. You're there for like the gas can on the back. Yep. Yeah. Those are the best car artists in the street when people run up to you and say, "Can you help me? I ran out of gas," yet they got a gas can in their hand. A brand new gas can with no gas in it. Where's your car? Oh, it's around the corner. It's down the street. But I got no money for gas. Can you help me? No. No, your feet are doing just fine. Have a good day. Right? Motherfucker, you walked over here to ask me for money. You can walk wherever the hell you need to get to without your car.
Oh, fuck.
Man. Or you throw change out at them and let it land in front of oncoming traffic. I've thought of doing that a few times. But there might be some criminal charges headed my way if I were to do that.
I've literally seen I've seen fucking people doing that shit. And what I've watched one do that near a place that I used to work. I watched his ass park his fucking Mercedes, get out of his Mercedes, walk half a fucking block to an intersection where it was an interstate exit and stand there with a fucking sign. And I'm like, fucking really?
You say Mercedes are the same guy as in my town.
Yeah.
Literally, there's a guy in my town that does that in a Mercedes, and his girl drives, I think, a Cadillac. They both do it. They go in different areas.
There was a study done here several years ago by a college, and they tested it out. They set up in two different places, I think north and south of Nashville, and earned like 40,000 plus each over the period of a few months doing that shit. And I'm like, God almighty, that's insane.
Well, no, that's the generosity of people there. And listen, there is we do have a lot of great attributes amongst us in this country, but fortunately or unfortunately, just thinking ain't one of them. I mean, because here's another thing. Those people are, 99% of the time, they're going to use that to go get drugs, which drugs are part of a system that causes rape and murder and theft. Right?
That's somebody as smart as he is, probably.
There is a doctor in chat asking if you are single, Sarge.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm definitely single. How's the doctor look? She looks sleepy. Wake up, doctor. Wait. You can look at Sarge. Old Sarge ain't that bad on the eyes. I mean, I could turn the lights down on my photo if you'd like. The darker it gets, the better looking I become. There's no doubt about it. Although I could look like Jeff. I don't even know I don't know. Has that guy ever had a girlfriend? Maybe. I don't know.
I think the doctor
only he knows. Probably not.
I think the doctor needs to go back and watch your speed dating episode.
There you go. Where were you when I was speed dating, doctor?
That was literally about a fucking year ago now, wasn't it? Good God.
Probably over a year.
She's claiming she's woke.
No, she's not. She wouldn't be in this fucking chat if she were.
It's probably more than accurate there, Cletus. Spot on, bro. Spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's up to us to help wake up other streamers out here. Not streamers, but other people in the audience with chat. Why are we listening to this person's convoluted story that the white nationalists didn't do it? Or these people did it? I mean, to what end? What? Look at if you play the lottery enough, you're going to win. Right?
Yeah.
That don't mean you just go and spend all your fucking money on the lottery. So why are you wasting all your brain power on these idiot fucking streamers that are seeing shadows noises, okay, or they're solving a crime with their cell phone, as so many of these people are doing. Look at one point, I was involved with that. I snapped out of it. It's insanity as far as I'm concerned. I don't give a fuck what Parvati puts forward. If he happens to find out that part or all of what he said at one point became right, great. But I think the odds are 5.36 quadrillion to 1 that fucking guy can do anything more than con you people that want to listen to him. Cletus?
Can't argue that, Sarge. But I'd say he's got a hell of a career with a particular intelligence agency, if he were so inclined, because he seems to figure out the recipe for being on the internet and gaining notoriety for being a fucking idiot.
It's just, and it's like people are sheep. There's no doubt that term applies that you don't have to be a Democrat or a Republican. You just have to be an American, and you're part of the herd, right? Because in this way, this is why we're all part of the herd. They create a topic. So you got the mainstream media creating a topic about Brian Koberger, and so many people decide they're going to support that fucking narrative, and so many people are going to decide they're not going to. So now you start the battle. Let the battle begin. Idiot versus idiot. Right? We used to have a thing in this country called Spy versus Spy. It was a magazine. It was rather funny. Now we have Idiot versus Idiot, and it's a daily show on all of your social media channels.
Speaking of sheep, I think your favorite lady in the fucking world, old Coffin Daffer, had one on her head yesterday afternoon.
Oh, you mean Cum Dumpster? Jennifer Cum Dumpster?
She did about a 16-minute live to announce she was fucking gonna do a stream with Mob Crew to talk about the lights in the Sebastian Rogers case, and she literally came on fucking camera with a damn sheep on her head. Like, what the fuck?
That's awesome. Well, I called her that on her. She blocked me on X. She was talking some shit about Koberger, and I go, here we go again. Jennifer Cum Dumpster, in her opinion. Stand back because she does spit. And she replied, bro. She goes, no one has to be that nasty, and just fucking blocked me.
Oh, fuck. That's fucking funny.
She blocked him for that.
Yeah, I guess so.
She looked all wore out by the agents that she was with trying to get a promotion. That's what she looks like to me. She's just haggard, bro. She's like been haggard by too much dick. Because she ain't old enough to look like that. I mean, the fuck?
Well, maybe she was actually an undercover agent at the donkey shows in Tijuana.
She was undercover, was with her fucking in the air. Cletus? Maybe her head was hanging off the bed. I don't know where she was positioned, but I don't think it was out in the field finding criminals.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, God. It's like Nancy Grace. Jesus. You know that bitch has got to pay for sex. Got to. There's no way.
She does remind me of a Bullhorn Betty with some measure of fucking success.
Bullhorn Betty. The big fucking saggy tits that sag 3 different ways. That's crazy.
They're both loud, crazy as fuck, and 90% of the time make absolutely irrelevant fucking points about anything.
All right. Okay, there's the digits. My digits are always exposed. Cletus?
Except for when you wake up with the one sore. Oh, at some point in the night, it was not exposed.
That's just crazy. Like I said, they got erectile dysfunction repair, but not for the guys that have a problem getting rid of the erection. It's only about the guys that can't get one. What the fuck is that all about? What about us guys? I don't even know, man. I live in a crazy world. I'm as crazy as the rest of you. There's no doubt about it. And in many ways, as dumb as the rest of you. But in those few key ways that matter, fucking way smarter than you. Holy shit. What's Clue doing? Clue, any health desk information? Anything?
I just enjoy watching your chat because it's a really easy way for, like, single people to find sadomasochists.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Hold on, we do have a call. It may be the doctor. Good evening, where your healthcare needs are met. 618, you're next.
George, do you know what this is?
I have no idea who you are.
It is Dr. Carrie Wallingford.
Oh, that's
How are
what.
you doing, Sarge?
I'm doing awesome
Can
as
you hear
usual.
me okay, or do I have to like turn it like completely off?
No, I can hear you perfectly fine. Can you hear us?
Awesome. So, what should we talk about?
Well, I don't know. You're the doctor, and I'm sure there's lots. You're not like a mental doctor. I hope you're like an organ.
No, I'm a theoretical physicist.
Really?
Yes.
So what happened to Elon Musk's Starship?
That's what I would like to maybe talk to you about. Like, why haven't they checked on Starlink? You know, I mean,
Well, no, he launched his Starship
like
today.
everywhere.
Well, he launched his Starship today, and I think it exploded.
Yeah, it went off. Did you see all the shit flying off of it?
Yeah. Look at that. Truth Seeker says, talk about going on a date with each other. Well, you're in an area code that I'm not familiar with. I'm in the state of New York.
Yeah, you are. What is it, Rochester? Is that where you're at?
No, but that's where the area code that shows is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's an area code that covers it.
Down by like Springfield, in southern Illinois. But I'll be coming up there in not too long because I'll be leaving for Cambridge. So, I mean,
Cambridge.
Yeah. That's where Cambridge University in the UK.
Oh, you're going to the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
Damn.
But I'd like to go to New York first, and
Yeah, I don't live that far from that area code.
Massachusetts is so beautiful, huh?
I live in roughly that part of the state. That area code. Yeah.
It's so beautiful there. I love it.
It's awesome up here. It's probably not quite as awesome when I leave, but it's awesome otherwise.
Yeah.
Well,
what's the weather like there?
Wintertime.
Where you're at right now?
Yeah, winter. Snow, cold. Yep.
Yeah.
But never tornadoes, hurricanes, earthquakes, floods, none of that shit. We just get 4 or 5 months of cold or cool weather and some snow. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, we got a lot of snow right now. A lot for southern Illinois, anyway.
Yeah, I'm not how is it? You're not in Chicago, right, or anywhere near Chicago?
Well, I grew up in northern Illinois, up by Fulton, which is like right on the border with Iowa. And I moved down south about 5 years ago. I stay here like about 6 months out of the year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't go south.
Here, 6 months in Cambridge.
Yeah, you got to be careful when you go south. You might be marrying your own relative and not know it. It's a very dangerous place down there. Southern boys.
I have a nonprofit here, a domestic violence shelter.
Oh.
And I got my own spa here, and that kind of like funds it. I fund it, and yeah, and I got
you got
girls that work for me.
A whole bunch of single women in a spa. Where's old Sarge?
Well, no. My spa is what like funds the nonprofit.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, my main house, which is like a big old haunted house. I wanted Clue to come here. I still love her. She's precious. I want her to come here and do you guys would freak out. My house is so haunted. It's huge. It's a 6-bedroom. It's old. It was built in 1860. And very much haunted.
There you go, Cletus. I don't know if they can hear us. I think they can.
Yeah, we can hear you.
They would still love it. I seen her little thing when she went on New Year's to her and Cletus and their little friends, and it was so cute. And I'm just like, oh my God, I got to bring this little girl here. I so do.
That's freaking awesome, man. I don't believe in haunted houses or ghosts or anything like that personally.
No, you would if you came here.
Well, maybe. I've nothing I've seen that's been publicly advertised or, where there's nothing I've seen so far in my life has shown me there's anything haunted. Yeah.
And then we got like the slave room upstairs. I mean, I know, well, they weren't like actually slaves, but I mean, they kind of were, but they got paid and stuff. And then the carriage house outside, that's where the boys that are over 15 will stay when their mothers, like leave the guys, kind of, I don't really know. I don't know. you know what I mean.
I am superstitious in some respects, but like I don't
Well,
believe
anyway,
you don't I don't believe
Your
you.
house is really haunted. I haven't done yet. Stop talking about it.
Well, listen. Has anybody died in your house? Has anybody died in that house? Has anybody died in this haunted house?
Yeah, my husband.
Oh yeah, there you go.
My husband, but he was very old. But yeah, he's a lot older than me. He passed away in August, but we knew this was gonna happen. I mean, we were prepared for it. And I'm sure plenty of people. But you have just listen. The carriage house, all right. Now, right on the side of us is the funeral home. It's like the mansion next to mine, but mine isn't a mansion compared to the other one. It's like twice my size. Like for this little tiny village, it is a mansion, but you know what I mean. So the funeral home and my carriage house, there's a tunnel that goes from the carriage house
More tunnels.
to the funeral home. Well,
Right.
that's because the doctor that originally, the first doctor that originally owned this house, also owned the funeral home, and back then they moved the bodies underneath into the tunnels, through the tunnels, to like the morgue part.
Yeah.
They did the embalming and all that. So yeah, it is really haunted though. I wasn't like really sure about how I felt about that being Jewish, you know. But I believe it now.
I was married to a Jewish woman.
Huh?
I was married to a Jewish woman.
Yeah.
My ex-wife. Yeah.
My mom was Catholic, but you know, both.
All right.
Or Jewish, I think you can tell.
All right. Well, I'm going to keep the stream going, but I got to talk to Cletus, and he can't talk or actually while I got a caller on. So I'm going to kick you off for a minute and finish up with Cletus. I'm going to hang up on your ass. And that was all I needed. Cletus!
Sergeant.
So what do we got? We got Sean, who is Seth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fucking dude is shaped like a broken. He's like a pumpkin you left outside for too fucking long. And
maybe Julie Skolnick should draw the faces on his belly and talk to them.
and all these, you got the Seth army, right? You got that. He's got an army. There's a guy he's got an army of people serving him food, is all I can see. And then he doesn't have an army out there looking for the poor kid. And you know, I could see that today. How did that work out? Because I had to sign off to get my T-bone going. But when Chris came forward and said that he wasn't happy, he was going to have to go live with his dad and not go to school anymore at that school, that there was that bone of contention. How did Seth respond to that? Because it seemed to me that upset Seth big time. And he turned the subject into Tony Mathis.
No,
Yeah.
Tony wasn't around during the time of that interview.
No. But he was brought up by Seth.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So how did Seth respond to the fact that the young man wasn't happy, he wasn't going to be able to go to school anymore at that school?
Well,
he's going to be like,
Seth told him, unbeknownst to you, that was a conversation I had already had with him. And Chris said that was a conversation you should have had with me and Katie. And
okay. So then what?
I mean, pretty much they did wind up arguing on the stream, and it was pretty much Chris telling him, because you're out here doing all this extra. And I mean, I don't know, it's just crazy. Like he's like a child, you know what I mean?
Yeah. See, this is why I said before, when I've shared my background with you, is that I've claimed, and I still know, that had I not been out in the street like that, my ability to be here with you guys today would not exist. I'd be a completely different man. So I think what happens with people that are on the spectrum is their life's experiences they'll adapt out of necessity. And so if you're coddled or kept at home, or if you're treated differently than the other kids, that does form the basis of your adulthood life. And so I hope, if at the best, that this young man stood up and walked out on his own, and he's still okay. I know that worked for me. So it's not unbelievable to me that a 15-year-old couldn't do that. The fact that he's hiding, I could have done that too. There was no need for me to hide, though. But I hope that that's really what's happened here. And this kid shows up in a year or two, and you know, he's taking care of himself, and he doesn't need parental involvement, right? Because if you think about the situation with him moving to his real dad's and losing his school and being homeschooled, he had no say in any of this. The kid was controlled. He was powerless, and he's probably smarter than a lot of people could ever give him credit for. Probably smarter than his father by far. And you know, so I kind of hold on to that, because if not that, the alternatives are just horrible.
No, I'm with you. It's sometimes, you know, it's hard to rein shit in and realize that is a possibility, and it would not even be close to the first time something like that has happened, you know. And it's even in cases that have gotten national attention, it wouldn't be the first time it's happened. But yeah, I don't know. I hope for his sake that is what went down. I do.
Well, we have a new user. His name is GRNT. He spells it differently. He spells it GRANT. I think he's in a mistaken way he spells his name, but you know, what can I say? Yeah, you know, it's a perplexing case, and I think the best everybody could do, instead of spending all this time going after the parents, is saying, look, we searched here, and here, nothing. And everybody just I mean, that's how simple it would be. Tens of thousands of you. You know, I was on Google Earth, fucking search. Okay. I mean, as unlikely as that is to find the boy, you can scan areas and maybe people in the location where you come up with something that's legitimately looks weird. Someone could go look at it for you. I mean, there's a million things we could do to help look for this child. And it's just crazy. These fucking creators out here, they just want to pound and pound and pound on shit that has nothing that's ever going to result in finding that young man.
Gray Pearl said, "Oh, that's nice. He should show up. No hard feelings." And I mean, that Gray Pearl said that, and I mean, it's a fair fucking point, right? Because at the end of the fucking day, and that's the thing that I wish a lot of fucking people, and starting first and foremost with Seth, would step back and fucking think about. If this kid ran off and he is found prior to being 18, and you have been out here publicly absolutely destroying every fucking thing you can think of about the mother and the stepfather, how is that going to work out for you when he does come home, if he comes prior to being 18?
That's the wrong question. You're asking the wrong question to a group of people that don't have the capacity of thought. They believe, and they're going to see. This leads right into what I've been saying all along with all of this stuff: politics and true crime. People believe in what they think or what they hear because it makes sense, or it seems to fit whatever fucked up narrative they've created in their head. They believe. And if they're proven wrong, just like when a Muslim's proven wrong, or a devout fucking Orthodox Jew, or a fucking devout Catholic, Christian, whatever, even if you show them evidence where they're in error, they just fucking ignore it like it never happened. And they'll keep doing what they're doing to the end of time. That cycle, that's all we've been taught to do in this country. We haven't been taught to learn. We haven't been taught to think. We've been taught to believe. And you're not supposed to believe in information that comes out of my mouth, or you read from the fucking newspaper or some textbook or a news channel. It's just not to be believed. It's for discussion to be thought about. But when you go beyond the facts that really are in front of us and create your own fucking theories, your own ideas, your own stories, it's like an exercise in ignorance. And there's billions of people that participate that all day long on the internet. That's the tragedy of modern society. We're the most powerful group of people the earth has ever contained. And it's all being buried by the Pavarottis and the fucking triple tit fucking sag butthole Bettys.
Well, and speaking of her and her band of fucking goons, I just like that phrase for some reason. It's the phrase of the day for me, band of goons. One of the things that I've heard that they always fall back to is, well, you know, the mom and the stepfather aren't talking, so of course they're guilty. And I was thinking about this today, and I'm like, you know, Sebastian's case, in a lot of ways, it's fortunate that it's become it's gotten so much attention, but at the same time, it's really fucked up, right? Because the attention is doing nothing but fucking damaging people, is all it's doing. But by the concept of they're not coming out and talking, therefore they must be guilty. Well, what about by using that logic, you could say that every missing case, the parents are guilty in every missing child case by using that logic. If that's your logic in terms of figuring out who did it, then every missing child's case, the parent's responsible, because 99% of them never get any attention. And it's fucking insanity.
Right.
But
And this one gets,
people want parents to talk about the cases to bring attention to them, or at least they give that fucking, they tell that lie. But at the
they
end of the
tell
day,
that lie.
as soon as they do, they want them to come and talk about the case on the fucking internet so that they can run with it for fucking years. And it's pathetic. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous.
Well, you want to know what else is rather stunning is that I think I lost my train of thought. When it comes to a parent, the last thing I would do is bring my missing child's information to this internet. You people are a bunch of fucking lunatics. You can't even read a document that accuses a fellow American of a crime, and the document itself doesn't put that person at the crime. So you fill in all the blanks yourself. You're a fucking idiot. You really are. And or you say that well, no, I know those are false. They always lie. You take that fucking, and then you create your own story on how the crime was committed. You're a real idiot then. You have no business, and we have no business in being decent people to one another to do that to any of these people. I don't want to impugn fucking Anon Harsh. I don't want to impugn Brian Kopaka or Brent or whatever the fuck these people's names are. The only people that could be examined and could be put in any light, good or bad, are those people mentioned in the information released. Right? And when it comes to a missing child, it's even different. You can't impugn any of the victims or they are victims. Their child is gone, and there's 3 adults that this affects: a stepfather, a father, and a mother. And it's not we shouldn't be out here trying to decide which one of these people did it. That's horrible.
Yeah.
Right? It makes no sense. And then people are going to argue about, like that lady on your stream today. Who the fuck is she to question this guy's attitude and what it should be, or how he responds to questions of no fact. Right? He's accused of having some child protective called on him for the belt incident, when that's not even true, and it has nothing to do with this. It was years ago. How is he? But he's got to respond to that fucking stupid Julie in a way that's acceptable to her and people with her peanut fucking brain. And if he doesn't respond to that fucking allegation, that question, that fucking pipe dream of yours, in a way you want respect for asking an ignorant fucking question. Well, in all fairness, if you were in front of me, I'd spit just like Jennifer Coffin cum dumpster does, right at you. The fuck are you talking about? I mean, these people expect answers from parents on questions that have no fucking part in this. Or even worse, are slandering the parent. You're slandering this guy to his fucking face. You don't even have the facts correct. Did you think him getting an attitude that makes him the bad guy? You shouldn't even be asking the question, you stupid, ugly fucking whore. I'm sorry. Cletus? It's quite crazy how the internet works. And it's been working like this longer than I've been out here, but I can't help it, man.
Sarge felt that one with everything he had.
Yeah, leave these people the fuck alone. You know, you want to use parachutes and tunnels like Drip Drop, then build them over there and fucking jump out of planes in Tennessee. You dumb fucks, go find this kid.
I'm waiting for I'm literally sitting back and waiting for the parachute or something to occur with Sebastian's case, because I know it's coming. I mean, literally,
for the UFO.
We started with a fucking lights, a video, right? We got the Linda Lane of Sebastian Rogers. I'm waiting for fucking Drip Drop to appear. I'm really
He's been back out. No, he's been back out recently.
I'm really surprised he hasn't gotten involved in the case. And
he started again, Cletus. A couple of weeks ago, he started in it too. He had spent months and months putting together this fucking 3D diagram of the house. Remember the stream we had? And I was showing you. I put it up there. He actually has a parachutist landing on the deck.
Oh my God.
Crime Circus is back involved in this in his ignorant ways. I don't know. And the thing is, it's not Drip Drop that's the problem. It's all the people that get involved and play along with that game, thinking they're actually doing something productive. You'd be better off fucking sitting outside watching the grass grow, right? Taking measurements every hour, and then writing a fucking research paper on grass. You dumb fucks. There'd be some fucking use for that. But getting out here, saying people parachuted onto a deck to go in and kill these young, or climbed in through a window, right? And the entire window is full of fucking knickknacks and plants, a cowboy boot, a big star, and blinds, and claiming that he might have climbed in through that window, which is completely undisturbed. There's no way a human being could have climbed in through that window and not disturbed these knickknacks and plants. But yet, you listen to fucking Crime Circus, that tick-tock drip drop motherfucker, and that's one of his theories. Tunnels under the house. They ripped the house down. He claims, look, there's proof. And the proof that he's pointing to is no proof whatsoever. It's an interior door. It's got nothing to do with nothing. And it's sad so many of us are easily persuaded by these fraudsters, these con men. And they're out here and they're your click is all they need. They don't need you to send them money. They just need your click. They need thousands and thousands of your clicks. And so many of us are so fucking stupid that it's not hard to get our click. I mean, look, there's 120 of you in here, Cletus. Holy fuck.
All to do was advertise it with the names of multiple click suckers.
The click sucker. That's a good one. He's a click sucker.
You would think it's a good one considering you fucking came up with it, you jackass.
Did I? I come up with so many perfect one-liners that it's hard to keep track of them in this limited space we call a brain. I need to start writing. I need to know what I need is somebody to sit next to me and just take notes.
Well, let's look at the fucking screen. That's what I'm here for.
It's if it didn't have some kind of humor to it, it is sad. I mean, we're really entertaining ourselves into the fucking trash can. I mean, Rome didn't fall that way. Right? But it looks like America's going to fall that way. And you got a whole state that's on fire over some little fish. I'm sorry. But 99% plus of all life that's ever existed is extinct. That little fish can join them. I need water. I'm a human being.
What are you talking about? On fire over one?
California is on fire. It's burning to the ground.
But what the fuck has that got to do with a fish?
All the water up north isn't being allowed to come to the south because the fucking governor decided that fish needed protection. All that water gets dumped out into the sea. You didn't know that? No, California's got more water than California could fucking ever use. They don't need to ever have a drought. And yet, they go turn on the fire hydrants. There's no water in them. But that little fish is happy. Thank God I sleep good at night over that.
Hell no.
Hell, the smelt fish, whatever. So build a fucking sanctuary for it if you're so. Put it in your fucking house, you stupid fucking idiot governor. You fucking environmentalists, you stupid motherfuckers. There's got to be a balancing of what benefits human life and what you got to be able to find a middle ground. And sometimes, like the dodo bird, right? And in America, we are becoming the dodo birds, literally, each of us. Meanwhile, we've got the biggest nuclear weapon man has ever devised. It's called the internet. And what do we do with it? Go hang out with Tommy fucking Jude.
Or go watch Julie Skolnick draw faces on fucking watermelons.
Right.
And then talk to them. That bitch is talking to fruit.
See, see, in sunflower, I'm not picking on Shy Flower. The governor and mayor need to leave their post. No. The people need to stand up, okay, and go start opening up the valves. That's what they need to do. They need to go take care of it themselves. I mean, remember, this is your country. You are the government. We, the people, are the government. That fucking guy Newsom is just another citizen like you that you chose to fucking manage your state, and it's mismanaged so bad it's burning to the ground. You need to bypass all of that, and as citizens in groups, start with posting online and then move to an actual physical nonviolent act. Open the fucking valves on these things, whether they like it or not. Let them call the police and the National Guard. But establish yourself on the internet with your intent because of what their fucking failures have caused and the death and mayhem and destruction. And get groups of 1 million, 2 million, 3 million Californians to stand up. And there it is. You changed this fucking country. You don't need Donald Trump as president. You could have done this under any presidency with any of these problems, all these wars. You sit down and you're like, oh, we can't do anything. You're sending all our money to Ukraine. Meanwhile, the veterans are dying in the street. Well, that's your fault. That's your fucking fault. That citizen that you put in place to represent you isn't the problem. You are. It's our job to stand up and say no. And we don't do that on anything. We come out here and we let these jerk offs like Bubbly fucking Waters and Tommy fucking Jude and these other jerk offs on the Sebastian case, the mob squad. Holy fuck. The guy with the filthy fucking feet, the guy with the Tyrannosaurus Rex arms because he's only tall enough to fucking bump his head on a counter. Fucking twit.
He can play hide and seek in his own fucking grass.
Fucking guy. He could hide behind his own fucking head. His head is so fucking blown up by his own fucking view of himself. Right? And then, you know, even these guys that have the ability to do this includes Joe Rogan, Tucker Carlson, anybody at the CNN and MSNBC network, all of these people that have all of these ears, right? And all of these ears are one person times two because each got two. And what if they don't do anything with anything of we the people being the ones that are in the fucking driver's seat. We've surrendered the driver's seat to think that we're victims of these people's behaviors. Brian Koberger is a victim to the behavior. And then Sebastian being gone, the parents are the victim because of the YouTubers. So tell me how you're doing anything wrong than what you're seeing going on in the real world while you're out here, people. Defend your fucking selves. Cletus?
To defend yourselves.
I mean, how can you argue against Sarge? I don't know. Clue does argue against me. Sometimes she's educated me too, even though I hate to admit when a woman's smarter than me at times, sometimes it's obvious.
Y'all heard that right. I'm just saying, y'all heard that right.
But the key word I used was sometimes. Remember, I qualified that, folks.
Hey.
She is still riding on that one moment where she got Sergeant Friday to say he was wrong.
Yeah, we had that in record. If she lost it, right? It was deleted.
I don't know.
Oh, I'm sure I could find it.
Listen, Michelle, that's a distraction. See, I want to post this comment up here. Let me explain this in very, very simple terms, folks. None of that matters. If everything she says is true, it just doesn't matter. You see? Because when there is an obvious issue that affects all Americans equally, if we turn to the internet and join forces and stop worrying about the guy's got a fucking dick tattooed to his neck, okay? And that woman's fat, and that woman's tall, and that guy's short, and that guy's ugly, and that guy's a Democrat, and that guy's a Christian. Throw all of that in the fucking garbage. We don't belong in Ukraine trying to create World War III with Russia. That's not our place to sell weapons around the world to go fucking kill people we'll never meet. Why is America hated? Well, because the American people don't stand up for themselves. I don't need an elected official to stand up for my positions. I need other Americans to join in. We all need that. That's what the fucking power of the internet should be used for. It shouldn't be used to destroy fucking Chris Proudfoot and Katie or even Seth. Seth, I mean, I don't even know him. He's a slovenly, sloppy boy, and he behaves like a slovenly, sloppy boy, and there's nothing wrong with that. We all have to be what we are. I'm an asshole. Cletus, right?
Preach.
What the fuck? We all are who we are, but those differences don't mean we all can't come together and do the right thing. And I'm not I'm talking about religion. I'm talking about being in America, in an American way of life, with an American fucking Constitution, an American Bill of Rights, that we all need to stand up for that. And that helps people that you probably fucking hate, but who cares? Because it helps you too. That's the fucking mindset the internet should be built around, not this fucking holy fuck. Right? I'm waiting for UFOs to have snatched that little boy. Really, I wouldn't doubt it. I might become a UFO believer. All I need is one fucking Chinese satellite from space at the angle of fucking cross-eyes.
It is coming. We're closing in on the day where that's a popular theory. Coffin Dapper herself said it.
Oh God, come dumpster strikes again.
Yep.
Yep.
I'm sure by the time her and Mob Crew get done collaborating, the fucking lights video will be a UFO.
I didn't think
or it will be a Chinese drone. That's what it be. That.
Listen, what's happening to Sebastian is happening to us. What's happening to fucking Brian Koberger is happening to us. What happened to Karen Reed and to that guy in the Delphi case is happening to us. When are we going to understand that? There is no dividing line between you and me. We're all in this, supposed to all be in this together, folks. And so if they're able to trample the constitutional freedoms that you were given it, because just because you exist, you weren't granted rights. I said that to Lana today. That kind of offends me. I don't have a constitutional right. Are you out of your fucking mind? The fact I was born on this soil is an inherent thing. It's not a right. That's what free people do. Nobody told me that was okay. The government wasn't elected to tell me that I had free speech. Quite the contrary. The government was told that these are things free people do. You must not infringe. These are not rights granted that can be taken away. These aren't rights at all. These are how free people govern themselves. You are our representative. You shall not violate my Fourth Amendment, Second Amendment, Third Amendment, 10th Amendment, right? And when your government does cross the line, we, the people, are the only place it can stop. You can't keep thinking you elect somebody to fix this shit.
Well, the key thing that you said is this is how free people govern themselves.
Right.
That's what we've all fucking forgot how to do.
Correct. We've all been taught how not to think. We've all been taught to believe in one story or another. And that power to believe should be relegated only to your spiritual and or religious experiences. That's it. It should never be. I believe the earth is flat. You should never use that word. Never believe anything. Because once you cross that line and then you enjoy that power of belief, the chemicals are released in your brain, and now you're going to defend that belief, and you're only going to listen to things that confirm that belief. That's why having belief in man's knowledge is just so fucked up. I don't have any. I think we can travel this galaxy beyond the speed of light. I completely think that. Scientists tells you that's impossible. And it's not that I don't believe them. I completely disagree with them. Okay? And they're right. Right, Cletus? There's no way, I can't prove that I'm right.
Right.
But I don't believe their limits, and I don't believe my thinking that limit is not real. I think that if we all thought together of a way to get by that would happen. I mean, come on. That's what humanity's done its whole existence over and over again. We all think. We all come to this idea that you need to get somewhere quicker. You need to be able to go further. You need to get, and lo and behold, horses come into the thing. Buggies get attached to horses. Eventually you got fucking cars, and you got airplanes, and you got rockets, and you got all of this stuff came because people thought that there was something that should be. And what are we doing with that power to think together? We're fucking wasting it.
We're
An idiot like Tommy Jude. I wouldn't ask Tommy Jude for directions to his front door if he answered it. Where do I come up with these things, bro? That was the best one of the day.
Oh, fuck.
I'm going to say that to my best friend tomorrow.
Oh, fuck.
Things are so good they make me laugh at myself.
You heard it here. Sarge is the official leader of the Band of Goons.
Oh, the band of what? He hung up. Oh my God. It's just fucking crazy. What does she say here? Doctor. However, we can travel past the speed of light. Even traveling across the speed of light, to travel across the universe, you would have to be so many multiples of the speed. Just the speed of light itself is not enough to even leave the fucking Milky Way in your lifetime. It would take you 80,000 years to get out of the universe or the solar system. That's the problem with the speed of light. The speed of light itself isn't even something we should be concerned about. That is not the mode by which you're going to go from here to there. The answer is in quantum physics. The answer is in particles that Einstein didn't like and didn't accept. And particles that react instantaneously to one another, no matter the distance. That's where the answer is. Yeah, and I suspect once you reach the speed of light, that time ends. Well, so far they've shown that the speed of light is all you're ever going to be able to travel. It's just you can't travel faster than the speed of light. Just so you know, that's the consensus of science today. And in some respects, I agree with that, because the way I think of things and the way I understand what I've been exposed to and I've read and studied, and whether you like it or not, we are beings and creations of light. All matter is a creation of light. Its base form is light. And so to go faster than what you are made of is probably not possible. And so if you were to exceed the speed of light, I think you would cease to exist in any way, shape, or form in connection to anything that actually exists based on light. Therefore, light speed isn't a reasonable solution to traveling the universe. It just isn't. Not for beings made of light. You know, I know we got off on some philosophical fuck up on now physics, but that's why I enjoy doing a stream, because sometimes you folks in the chat room do take something I say or create something in the chat room it's way off topic, but pretty fucking interesting to me. And maybe others in the chat room. But I find it strikingly shocking that for all of these years on the internet and all these years of people saying you can't believe what you hear on the internet and blah, 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 that through all of those observations, accurate or not, none of the observations are how can we use this tool effectively to make the world a better place? Right? Twiz, why don't you call in? You got no reason not to call in now. God damn it. Old Twizzle. Twizzle me this. Twizzle me that. You know what I'm saying? It's all crazy. Yep, Twiz is here. So we have 112. Where's all this coming from? 40 of them are over there on what are we doing over here on Rumble? I want to give you much. There's 3 people in Rumble. Shout out to the Rumble crowd. I've got 26 followers on Rumble, and more than 10% of them are in the stream. That's awesome. YouTube, where are we, YouTube? Do I got YouTube? This is YouTube, right? We got 72 in YouTube. What even, I don't even want to call. Yeah, Carl, call. The representative of the 5.63 billion morons is being requested to call the show. There's a lot of positives in everything that mankind has done. Unfortunately, we seem to be victims to those that want to misuse them. And we cower like sheep. Right? There's no way they should be taxing us the way they tax us. We found our independence through taxation without representation. And now look at it. We're all cowering. Who's GAC? I don't know who GAC is. I probably do. Let's see. She's been saying something. I've missed it. I haven't been reading it. Because maybe assholes were smart. I may have missed some of what you said. Well, where are you, Carl? Twizzle? Heather? Where the hell are you people? Grant? Get it. Get a clue. I'm not calling tonight. What a... I might unblue star this guy. What are you talking about? Your grand poobah has said, give it a call. People want to hear your voice. Quit being I can't call you a pussy because obviously women have been braver than the men to call into this show. So women got it up on men when it comes to calling into the show so far. Right? I've had 3 different women call in here or more the few times that I've used this. But you guys are just like, I can't even make a proper chicken noise, but you know what it is, right? Oh my God. Are you a catfish? Leader of the pack. That's Carl. Let me see. Carl Ferguson, Queen of. The call-in number. Yeah, I find it so shocking that we've been convinced and or conditioned to misuse this tool in a way that we've misused it, and the way it's been turned against us in a weaponized kind of way. And that for whatever reason, none of those people with big reach ever really get onto this discussion of how effective we all could be if we acted together. Now, if it's against other people that you disagree with, you guys are quick to jump on it. But when it comes to the corporate control of the world that we're suffering from, and when it comes to malfeasance of government agencies, regardless of their federal or local, there's no unifying of people as a group to come forward. Right? They arrest you at town hall meetings. They kick you out of town hall meetings. We've seen that parent-teacher conference or meetings with school board. You've seen that happening around the country, right? Where were there 100 million people arguing against some of their suggestions when it came to your health care? Where were 100 million people all going to one place and signing petitions and making noise? There's no reason we can't do that out here. I mean, that's the best thing that we can do out here. And instead of doing even remotely close to the best, we want to listen to people like I put in my title that are come up with these fucking theories that nobody can verify or unverify except whatever the fuck's in their brain. Yeah, Carl. See that? Everybody loves Carl in multiple chats. Everybody says hello to Carl, but Carl won't even call in so that we can hear him. Yeah, buck, buck, the chicken noise. Buck, 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 that noise. Carl's probably really good at that. Carl? Carl, the number 454-9932, area code 585. Bring your noise to the channel. Sergeant 20. That's what I would be preaching as president. In all fairness, if I was going to run for office, that's exactly what I would be preaching. Every time I got to that microphone, I'd be reminding American people, it's your country, this is your government, this is your oil, this is yours. Right? Yeah, extension 5.63. There you go, Great Pearl. You hear that, Carl? Extension 5.63. That shit is just too funny. And it saddens me that there's more that we have in common, including people that I fucking pointed out tonight. Even those people and I have more in common than we have in common, right? And I'm tired. I'm exhausted of dealing with people that believe in information. They believe in global warming. Well, you believe on what you're being told. You have no scientific evidence to support it. You know what you got? You got the people lying to you, telling you that scientists concur. And if you don't concur, they won't publish your findings. If you don't agree with their consensus, then you don't get funding. But the people that hear this and accept this, when you point that fact out to them, they don't want to hear it. They just don't want to hear that. To them, the people that represent them don't lie. The people they disagree with are the liars. And the same goes from this side to that side. If you don't think the planet is warming, then you too haven't done any studying. Of course it's warming. Of course it's warming. It hasn't even returned to the temperatures of 1200 AD. The temperatures 1200 AD were quite a bit warmer than they are today. Pre-mini ice age, the Earth was much warmer. And in 1850, when that ice age ended, the temperatures over the 500 years between 1350 and 1850 lowered global temperatures significantly. And they're recovering. We're still in the recovery phase of the last ice age. So yes, to say the Earth is warming is accurate. Now, if you want all your bullshit scientific data, then you have to explain how how man's activity, if it's affecting it, and it may very well be, how much of that effect is actually us and how much of it is actually the natural cycle of the Earth. And you're going to find that it's very little man-made. So I'm not saying that there's nothing we do that doesn't have an impact on the climate. Quite the contrary. I believe what we do does. But to the point of wiping out families and taxing people to death and not gaining energy, because without energy, you're not going to solve this problem. You don't generate electricity the way they're generating it, people are going to start burning fucking trees and everything else they can get their fucking hands on. So whatever we're doing, whether you consider it good or bad, it's being done on a scale and regulated and controlled. And we need to better that. But I think people just get off the rails with this believing stuff. Well, welcome, unknown caller. What is your satisfaction?
Hey, it's Carl.
Carl!
Yeah, I'm calling in.
Well, Carl, you sound like you're from the southern part of the United States, Carl.
Well, I'm from below the firmament.
He's from below the firmament, folks. He must mean he married his sister. How you doing there, Carl?
I'm doing good. If you want me to call, I'm calling.
There you go. We browbeat Carl into making it. Well, Carl, here's your chance. I mean, yeah. the floor is yours.
You know, I called in flu back in, I don't know, March or April, and called out the fact that I didn't believe for 1 second that Sean was a cop. Turns out I was right.
Sean is,
Oh, Seth. So,
oh. Well, wasn't he working in the prison as a guard?
The county jail.
Yeah.
Kind of like being Bonnie, like taking care of Otis, the town drunk. We got the same thing.
Yeah, he's a security guard like you'll see at a casino.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically a mall cop,
Right, he works for.
Malls aren't actually a thing anymore, so.
Well, you don't even require in a lot of these security jobs a permit to carry a weapon. Security guards are often unarmed and they're given walkie-talkies and mace and a uniform.
Yeah,
right?
he's just I don't know, man. The odds of that date. Let's take it back to February 26th. I mean, come on now. That was 8 years to the date, I believe, that Katie filed for divorce. What's the odds of that? What's the odds?
Well, sometimes life does deal with coincidences and unless proven otherwise, I don't have an objection to a coincidence. I make note of it, but that doesn't mean, you know what I mean? I don't derive any meaning. That is a significant coincidence. However, its meaning is unknown.
I personally don't believe in coincidence, but you also believe, the earth was formed out of, parts banging together or something. And on the other side, I believe that, we live under the firmament in a snow globe.
Right.
So, I mean, we're different there.
Well, yeah, I think and you believe. I understand. That's the difference I keep trying to beat into people. We have to think and stop believing in different conclusions without an evidentiary basis to do so. That's easily shared with others. Because really, Occam's razor tells us the simplest way is usually the correct way. Right?
Well, I mean, thinking and believing is one and the same, if you ask me. You think it, so you believe it. It's in your head, so it doesn't matter, right?
No, that's exactly what we've been programmed to run with. I mean, you are becoming the perfect example of how we've been taken off the rails and made to run through the mud. Thinking is not believing. They're two different things.
I disagree with you. If you think it, therefore it is. You think it, so it's your belief. If I believe it, it's what I think. What's the difference? I don't really see the difference.
Well, the difference between thinking and believing is that you'll accept all info. Once you believe something, there is no room for contradictory information. You'll listen to it, but you won't accept it or even examine it. Where thinking is you will examine and parse out all contradictory and supportive information and come to a conclusion that isn't conclusive in as much as when more information comes by, you're open to hear it and then change or not change your conclusion. So thinking is a different process than believing. Believing, once you make that step to believe in something, you are then done. You know all that needs to be known. And that's why you should never believe in man's knowledge, only in your religious or spiritual understandings.
Well, I do believe in my religious or spiritual knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer to look at the book, that I like to call the Bible, that I like to believe,
right,
that it was inspired by God, as opposed to some science bullshit, you know what I mean? Like Bill Nye the Science Guy or whatever, you know what I mean?
Right, but you won't listen to Bill Nye the Science Guy or anybody that contradicts something in the Bible, and that's why I say religion is supposed to be, your power to believe is absolutely expressly connected to our connection to God and our creation, and it's supposed to be reserved for that. Man's knowledge is not to be believed in. As a matter of fact, our being thrown from the Garden of Eden was because they ate from the tree of knowledge. So if you're not clearly seeing the point I'm making, maybe that'll help you understand. God never wanted us to believe in each other's mouths, okay? God wanted us to believe in God, and we had paradise, and we fucked it all up by eating from the tree of knowledge. And what's happened since that point in time is knowledge is manipulated. People lie, people con, people deceive, people use the truth for the wrong reasons. See how knowledge has fucked up mankind? And we've yet to understand we need to separate our power to believe, which releases chemicals in your mind, which causes you to act and behave a certain way.
Can I just say, amen, Joanne? Joanne says in chat, I don't believe in science after 2020. Amen, Joanne.
Well, and that one aspect of, see, it's not the science I disagree with, because the science that contradicted that stuff was hidden from us, or you were banned and kicked off. So let's be clear. That science was only one story of actual facts. I said this before, and I'm going to say it for the last time. Any virus that can cross-contaminate species cannot be vaccinated against, and I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Because once you stop it from coming into me, that virus wants to be in me. It has only one need: to survive. It'll go into a dog, a cat, a deer, a rabbit, and it will alter itself to accommodate re-entry into us. Polio was conquered because there is no such thing as polio in animals, period. That's why you could vaccinate against polio. But any virus that cross-contaminates it's treatable. You can offer therapeutics, but you cannot stop it from ever infecting us again. So my point is, science does have its place. Is it the answer to everything? No. Is it? And science comes from religion. Science comes from religion. It was created in religion, science.
I don't know about that, saying science was religion. I mean, it is a religion. It's not my religion.
No, it's not right.
I agree that, being vaccinated.
I don't want to talk specifically about that at all. Please don't use that word, of the C word. Leave that out of here. The algorithms will grab that and just blast me.
Well, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing. I don't think the thing actually protects anybody from anything. Yeah, sorry about the word.
No, that's okay. I just am giving you a heads up. It's not, I know I come across sometimes like I'm chastising people who are attacking them, but I'm just a hyper fucking guy. It's nothing.
No, I love you, Sarge. I'll tell you what. You're my number 2. Clue's my number 1. Well, actually, you'd be my number 3. Clue'd be my number 1, then Cletus, then you. Yeah.
Look at that.
I really do.
So that puts me in the asshole position. 1, 2, and 3. What the fuck?
Well, you know what I mean? If you'd rather be number 4, but I don't know who I'd put in number 3. So
No, that's okay. And I like you. That's why I played fun with you on the.
I love it.
Yeah.
Give me hell. I'll give it back. You know?
No, and I listen. I have my religious understandings that I believe in, and I won't sway from. And unless somebody has some seriously compelling contradiction that's verifiable, then I just leave it alone. I'm good with what I've got. But when it comes to things like, as I talk about the speed of light or some of the physics stuff we talk about, I am not in agreement with conclusions that we're all being told are the only answer. And that's why science exists. Science, the earth didn't name all of the things that we now know today without science. And that is, you go to the Vatican, you go talk to the people, science and all of the horoscope stuff and all of the looking out at the universe, that all started with science. Look how many people were killed because they contradicted the church. And I know a lot of people insist that when the church was screaming the sun revolves around the earth, they don't understand that conclusion was made through scientific thought, scientific processes that were wrong. You see? So science has always been part of religion, and religion and science are both seeking the same answer. How did this all begin?
I agree that science is a religion. I will agree with
that. But it stems from religion itself. It is a product of religion. It's a baby of religion. Religion gave birth to science.
But we can't, me and you can't sit here and say we know for a fact that the earth spins around the sun, or either that or the sun actually is in some kind of an orbit, with the inside of the, firmament. We just believe what we believe. It doesn't really matter. Yeah.
Well, no, you could show scientific observation. You can observe this. The sundial is one small way to observe the movement of that glowing ball through the sky. And that sundial.
Well, I do agree with that. Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
so
you can actually tell time with the sun. I don't know how to do it, but I know it can be done.
Well, no, and throughout all of history, since the modern age, we'll call it, a sundial. You're familiar with a sundial.
Yeah.
And so if you clock the what they claim, for instance, every hour the sun moves through space 30 degrees. And that's also consistent with the sundial moving a full hour, right? Or 60 degrees. 6 by 6 is 36. So, in other words, you can track the movement of the sun and the amount of area that it covers in the 1 hour time of that sundial, and they match. So if it were not traveling around us, it would be able to maintain this every single day throughout all of known history. That's why when people say that,
you believe that?
No, you can witness that. You can witness that. You witness that by looking at the sundial and the location of the sun. The sun moves through an arc, and it moves 60 degrees every 60 minutes. You can measure that. It's not science. You don't need to be a scientist. You don't need to be part of anything. You can witness that happening. Just walk out your front door on a sunny day, set up a sundial, and keep your eye on it.
Yeah, you can do that, but it still doesn't prove what you're saying versus what I'm saying.
Well, you can't prove in God either, but this you can at least observe and make the conclusion that sun is moving around the earth. So that's what I'm saying. This isn't, when you believe something, you take out the ability to use a little bit of common sense. So if it behaves like a rabbit and it looks like a rabbit, it's probably a rabbit.
And that brings me back to the date. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Back to February 26th. You're just agreeing right there. But if you intended to or not.
No, I can accept what you're stating there. I don't see any evidence to support it, but I can see where you come to that conclusion. I don't deny that. But what I would say is, without any evidence or facts, it is just what it is. Unfortunately, it's a massive coincidence. And unless evidence comes forward to show that date, that time, that incident that took place with Sebastian and the divorce, unless you could show Seth's involvement in all of this, then it remains a coincidence.
Well, let me ask you a question, Sarge. Why is the Dream Team then 10 months in, all of a sudden, why do they want to change the date that happened? I mean, we've all agreed, whatever, it's February 26th. Then all of a sudden in December, the Green Team's like, well, no, we want to make it the 25th and the 23rd. Why?
Well, only they can answer that for you. Only they know why they did that. And is it, again, you may be onto something, but even with them doing that, that's still not real evidence that, in fact, that date had anything to do with Seth being involved with the missing of his own child. That's what I'm saying. A lot of times when we get out here, I'm guilty of it too. So and it's much easier for me to look innocent by conversing with somebody else, right? But my point is that it's still a coincidence. And even though they may be, I've never seen them do what you're saying, but I accept that you're telling me information that's factual. That's what you've witnessed, and I accept it. I don't understand why they're doing that. Right. I don't know why they're doing it, and neither do you, although you have your suspicions. Fair enough.
Well, it just seems odd, be like, let's say you being involved in a car accident on whatever such date. We'll just say the 23rd of March. And then your insurance company be like, are you sure it was the 23rd? Now let's make it be the 22nd. You know what I mean? Well, why would you do that? Why are you trying to change the date of something? Why? What's the point?
Well, sometimes I get dates wrong too, and you'll see that in some of my streams. If you knew me politically, I was such a huge fucking follower of timelines and dates that I could recall things from 4 or 5 years ago, when Trump was elected in 15 and 16, and they started that Russia investigation. I could quote you dates at times and hearings, where in the video the hearing was, what. But I did make mistakes as well, and I can say to you that how many of us remember our wedding date or don't forget it? I don't remember my date of my wedding, in all fairness.
I sure as hell do. I remember it. I can also say the exact date that my ex-wife left me damn near 15 years ago. I can say exactly what that date was. I bet I'm not the only one.
Well, actually, in public understanding and knowledge of anniversaries, men seem to be very forgetful to the date of their anniversary. That's an assessment we can make because of what we've observed, right? I mean, a lot of men do forget their anniversary. The wife either has to remind him or she stays shut up and gets mad, knowing he's going to forget it. We have all these fucking marital problems over that issue. So you're one of the few guys that remember that. I don't.
But I mean, I not only remember, the day we got married, but I more specifically remember the date that she walked away. See what I'm saying?
Right.
Kind of like February 26th.
Well, look, I was beaten, abandoned, and thrown out in the street at 14. I can't tell you the date that was. So for a lot of us, it doesn't work that way. So I guess I don't know why they made this mistake, but it's as likely that the date is being midged, not out of an intent, unless it could be intentional. This is what I'm saying. We don't know if it is or isn't. And that's when when you don't.
I'm gonna get off here real quick. I mean, just in a second. But them trying to change the date should be considered one hell of a red flag.
especially for investigators. Like I point out in the Idaho 4, there's no forced entry in a home full of locked doors with combinations. None. So how do you say that the person that committed this crime came from the, what the fuck does that car got to do with anything? Nothing. There's no evidence. You got no forced entry on any part of that home, including the bedroom doors that were entered to commit the crime. So why aren't we looking at an inside job or somebody that was in the home, whether they were part of the group or they were hiding out in the house is more likely to me, or they were let into the house is even more likely, or that they were known to the victims. Being known to the victims would be more likely that these doors didn't have to be kicked down. Right?
Well, Sarge, I'm going to tell you, I don't really know anything about Idaho 4 other than what I heard you say.
Okay.
That's really not my thing.
Well, no, but it's an example of what you're saying in a sense, right? I mean,
Sure.
when
Absolutely.
you've got a situation, you can make these assessments like you're doing with the coincidence and dates. I can see that leading someone down the trail to think that may connect directly to Seth. And then
Here's what I believe with the date. And I'm going to say this, and anybody that's listening, on the chat or wherever, they can hear me. That date to me says it is 100% an inside job. Does that mean Sean did it? I mean Seth. Does that mean Seth did it? No, it doesn't mean that. Does it mean Chris did it? No. Does it mean Katie did it? No. But I tell you, I believe 100% it means one of them, if not all three of them, or two of them is involved.
let me just say this before you leave. It's also indicative of a date that Sebastian and his life changed so dramatically, and that he himself used it as a date to walk out of that house. So there's also that.
You know what? That is possible.
There you-
I give that like a 2%. You know what I mean? It's not very likely.
Right, but you'll agree none of us have the correct answer, right?
Sure, I'll agree with that,
Right.
but I will always say that the date is the key. The date is 100% the key.
Yeah, I think that's a healthy point of view. I say that about a lot of things in the Idaho 4. That's what's been presented to us. The key is in there. The answer is in there. And most likely the answer that's in there is going to contradict the narrative that's been sold to us by the officials in the news media and these YouTubers. Or if at least not contradicted, it's so unverifiable that it's like actually arguing that Sebastian ran away on the 23rd, not the 26th. It's provably unverifiable. It's provably false. Do you follow me? And so if
Sure,
you're
when you
go ahead.
When you have a group, let's say a team of people, the green team, whatever you want to call them, they are pushing so hard 10 months in to change the date. Come on, that's suspicious as hell.
Yeah, and how were they attempting to change the date? Are you sure they weren't just misspeaking? I mean, what was the effort? What do you call? Why do you call it an effort?
Go back into the
Okay.
Nick crap, you know what I mean? And then the other people that get what they say, the docket or the packet or whatever. There's people pushing pretty hard on their side to change the date. And you just got to wonder why. I mean, it doesn't matter to me if he went missing at 11:59 on the 25th.
Right.
If he went missing at 12:01 on the 26th. What the hell difference does it make? It doesn't make any difference as far as I'm concerned. You know what I mean? A couple minutes.
No, but it does say this. It does say that could have happened on either the 25th or 26th. That's a fair statement. So if that's the minor issue of change that they're making, I see nothing fishy about it. Oh, okay.
What the hell difference does 2 minutes difference make?
None.
Making one day from the next.
None,
I mean,
but it does make a difference in the timeline of when the event took place. Did it take place at 11:59 on the 25th or not? Did it take place at 3 a.m. on the 26th or not? So
it's being agreed. Go ahead.
my point is that if nobody knows anything about the child after 11 o'clock on the 25th, then the 25th should be included in the potential time of when he went missing. And there would,
But why wouldn't consider that, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
by law enforcement, they make the date and time based on the report given them. The parents' conscious statement that when she woke up and looked, he wasn't there at 6:30 a.m. on the 26th. Right? That's her statement. That doesn't mean he went missing at 6:29 a.m. She doesn't know what happened to him all night. So if somebody is trying to say 25 and 26, I wouldn't argue that or even let that bother me, because she herself has no idea when he went missing.
That's what I'm saying, though. We have collectively just said, okay, whatever, it's the 26th. I mean, we've agreed to that since, back in February or whatever. Why all of a sudden in December is a group of people trying to say, well, now, wait a minute, it was the 25th. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant as far as I'm concerned.
Right. He went missing during from the time he went to bed until the next morning. There was no indication of him being in or out of that house by the person there, the mother. And you're right. Does it really matter if it's the 25th or 20th? No. It was the
one is an hour or 2 or 3 or 5, And that's another thing. All these women, like, oh, you should call 911, yada, yada, yada. No, not really. A missing teenager missing for a couple hours is no reason whatsoever to call 911. It's not an emergency, period. It's not.
Well, she didn't realize until 6. When she realized in the morning, it wasn't that long before they contacted the police. She didn't wait 8 hours to call the police, right?
No. Yeah, but everybody's like, well, he should have called 911. Why did Chris do this, do that, whatever? Hey, I can tell you, I live in a rural community in Indiana, and I know my sheriff's department's phone number by heart. I can tell you what it is right now. I won't, but I could. And I just know it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, the problem with that particular case is that there's so little answers given that are solid. All right, we know he went missing. We know the actions of the mother, and then what do we know? Nothing. Literally, I mean, you got stories about the police and their attempt to find him, and they're looking through all the neighbors, and okay, but in the end, there's no hide nor hair of the child. And so until we find hide nor hair of the guy, then we really should that we just have to wait to see what comes of that.
But I mean, if he did just simply walk out the door, don't you think he would showed up at the McDonald's or the Hardee's or the whatever? I mean, don't you think he would showed up by now? If that's the case, or you got people out searching, don't you think they would have found him if something unfortunate would have happened?
Well, I can tell you this for a fact. I can tell you this based on the information we have. The answer to that is no. I don't think that at all. There's no evidence to suggest that had to happen. Everything is unique in these situations. Like earlier when I said the dingo ate your baby really happened, and these people were chastised for years, black sheep. They're claiming their kid went missing in the middle of the bush in Australia. And everybody said, no, where'd you bury him? What'd you do? Did you sell him? Did you bury him? Where he's dead? And then years later, they found the carcass that had been eaten by a dingo. And then there you go. How about that other little girl that went missing in Europe? And they're blaming the parents. And the bottom line is there's no solution to that case. She's dead. Somebody killed her, but there's no evidence to actually trap or tie it down to any individual. And until there is, it'll go unsolved. And I think you're looking at the same thing here with this poor young man. There is
I agree with you, Sarge, but I mean, wouldn't there be something?
No.
If he was out in the woods, I mean, something.
No.
Wouldn't there be, I hate to say it, but I'll just say it, buzzards, you know what I mean, flying around or something? Wouldn't there be some kind of something, a sign?
The absence of, people say sometimes the absence of evidence is evidence, and that's only really true when you've got a chain of evidence that allows that to exist. The absence of some things don't mean anything, right? Unless they do, unless a fact comes forward to show that lack of is important. Maybe he was in the trunk of somebody's car and he did get McDonald's, right? But the person, right. So the fact that they don't catch him on any camera or anything isn't. There's no way to know, because this is the point that I make even with the Koberger case. Even though the allegations don't show him in that house, it doesn't mean that he didn't stop his car and get into a different vehicle that was just like his, but from a different year, and go commit that crime. There's no evidence to say he didn't do that. There's no evidence to say he did. And the evidence that they're presenting to the public never places him at that home. So the same thing with this young man. And that's where all of these conspiracy theories and all of this, we let our minds come to believable conclusions that aren't real. There's no supporting evidence. Did the kid have McDonald's after he left? He may have. He may not have. But you can't take either one of those as a conclusive argument. You got to let it sit until something comes in and fills in the blank. And that's where I think a lot of people have trouble with thinking. Thinking does not mean that you get the answer. Thinking is a collection of information that gets assembled. And sometimes the assembly could take years. Look how long Einstein and these other people worked on their theories. Look at how humankind has gone from, hunter-gatherers to where we are now. These things take time. And so until then blanks are filled in, the date that you're recognizing these people trying to change may just simply be they're trying to cover from the time he went to bed forward, which, in all fairness, they're accurate. He went missing on the 25th/26th. There's not a misstatement there. It's all based on your point of view and your perspective of the situation and the information you have. And that information is accurate. Once he was put in bed, Katie had no more contact with him. She went to bed at 11 o'clock, right? She went to bed she said 11 o'clock. So from anywhere after, from 11 o'clock forward, he could have left that house and she wouldn't know.
I honestly wish that Cletus had never pointed out that date to me. Because once he pointed that date out to me, I cannot unsee it.
Yeah. Well, can I just say,
he didn't point the date out to me specifically, but in general, I cannot unsee it.
We're not really that far apart. The division between thinking and believing isn't that far apart. That's why it's hard that once we've all been trained to believe, it's hard to understand that thinking is a different process. It's hard to wrap your head around that because that other process has never been demonstrated to people. It's never been taught to people. And so, on this particular issue that you brought, it's a great issue. You think that there's something nefarious because the child is missing, because the date does match the wedding. And maybe these people are trying to alter the date to get it off of that coincidental connection, right? That's
there you go.
Okay. Wait. That's a reasonable thing to think, but not believe. That's what I'm trying to point out to you. You have a reasonable understanding of your religion and what you believe to be true. None of it can be proven. You can't prove Christ was put on a cross. You can't do it. I'm not saying that's your religion. I'm giving you an example.
Well, you right? Can't prove that we live on a spinning ball, and I can't prove that there's
no. But I can listen. If somebody produced a cross with his blood that was DNA tested, we could then say he was put on a cross. On the idea that we're on a globe that moves through space and is rotating, and we travel around the sun is eminently provable. The facts support that. They do. And so your idea that it's a flat earth can't be easily explained. Your belief is a disbelief. You don't really believe in what you're saying. You're disbelieving everything else. And that's different. That's the other problem with belief. Belief gives you the infinite power to accept or not accept. And that's why it's so dangerous when you deal with man's knowledge. That's one of the things we aren't supposed to do, is believe in man's knowledge at all. You always are supposed to question it. So I think it's healthy to question, but the science does show. The science makes a good argument for us being on a sphere moving around the sun. Is it completely? I can't tell you if it's completely accurate, but it's more accurate than the people I've heard talk about a flat earth under a globe. Okay?
You can actually, then I'll just shut up after this because I think you got somebody else on the phone. But,
no, I don't think I do. I don't think so.
I thought that doctor, somebody was on the phone.
Oh, and anybody can call in. I'm glad this feature works. This is an awesome feature. We got Carl out here tonight, just so you know. Carl Ferguson, queen of the 5.63 billion morons on social media. This person is somebody. Carl?
I am the leader of the idiots. Idiot party. Number one right here.
I'm glad we got to talk. I'm glad we could put a voice to your name.
Well, yeah, hell, I called I called in Clue back in, I don't remember, either March or April, prior before Brewster Boy did. So I didn't call in repeatedly and, try to start my own damn channel or nothing with it. But,
right.
Yeah, I actually, officially, if you want to say it, or I believe it, I'm the first person that called out Seth Rogers not being a goddamn cop. Excuse my language. I called that shit out and I called it on Clues. And I can tell you that the episode was, you called me, and it was about the hour, 17-minute mark. I called in and said, no, there ain't no way he's a cop. No way, I don't believe it.
No, I never accepted him as being a police. I saw him as being a prison guard, and that does not indicate policeman to me. Not in today's world where most of these prisons are privately maintained anyway.
No. I mean, and then people get into this bullshit of, well, in Sumner County, the sheriff's department isn't law enforcement. What? Bullshit. Sheriff's department is law enforcement. Their job is, to deal with the courts and whatnot, but they are law enforcement.
They are.
Now, jailer ain't shit.
No.
They're just not. You know what I mean? They're just literally not.
Yeah, they're not going to be running down the streets looking for an escaped prisoner. The police, the sheriff, the state troopers, the ones that actually enforce the law and carry out the law, they're going to be the ones checking them out. The jailers, these guys that are paid to be a security guard, is basically what he is. I never knew that was a. Did he come out and claim he was a cop or something?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he's law enforcement, he claims. You know what I mean?
Oh.
But then there's been arguments back and forth saying, well, in Sumner County, yada, 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 but not really. Well, let me tell you, in the state of Indiana, Indianapolis encompasses the whole entire Marion County. Okay? See what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, Indianapolis and Marion County are one and the same. And yeah, basically, Indianapolis Metro Police Department, basically is the one out there patrolling the streets or whatever. But don't think for one second that people on the sheriff's department can't arrest you. You know what I mean?
Of course they can.
Can't. They absolutely are law enforcement.
Yeah.
Now, they are more, dealing with the courts, the jail.
Well, we got sheriff out here. As a matter of fact, the sheriff in my area also manages the jail, but the jail is not part of the sheriff's department. They're the managing agency of the jail. And there may be some sheriff in the jail, but for the most part, the guards are security guards and deputies. Some deputies do work inside that prison or that jail, but they're separate from the security guards. They're not. Security guard is not a deputy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A deputy is deputized, is a sheriff's deputy.
Right.
The sheriff is the elected official, you know what I mean? Which in my county, my cousin actually is our elected sheriff. But yeah, you got deputies, whatever. But hey, Sarge, it's been great talking to you.
Well, I got one thing I want to just point out to you.
Oh.
And we gave him the old booty boot. I got you, Carl. I got you. Where's Rooster Boy? Get your ass in here, boy. Don't worry, you afraid I'm going to say something that's offensive to the ears? Don't worry about any of that. It's my channel, not yours. Rooster Boy. We got Salty Moms in here. We still got 110 viewers in here. We only got a couple at Rumble. And we got 45. So about half of these folks are over on X. And I got a bone to pick with Elon. I do got that Blue Star. I do pay $8 a month. And yet you have to have an Apple phone to do to do Google Spaces, or not Google, I'm sorry. To do Spaces up on X. You need to have an iPhone, or you have to use a cell phone. You can't use your desktop computer. Man, that's just some bullshit. I mean, I don't even know. Yeah, it was nice of Carl to come up here. It's good to put a voice to the name. And frightening to argue the Earth issue, but, it is what it is. The wheels on the bus go round and round. So who else was out there that wanted to call in? As long as people call in a short periods of time, I can keep the stream going. If not, there's probably lots of YouTube fucking people out here that you can call in, or not even call it, that you can listen to and not feel like you're being attacked, which you are generally being attacked while you're in here. I admit facts. Facts, just the facts, man. Remember old Sergeant Friday from Dragnet? That movie they made of that was pretty good too. He has the Tesla phone coming out soon. Pretty soon this guy's going to own the whole world, and his robots are going to be in charge. I don't know why people don't want to put checks and balances against Elon. Now, I mean, talk about an evil genius. I think we all ought to be a little bit more careful with Elon Musk. But, people don't want to do things themselves, and they'd rather others do it for them. And in the lackadaisical fucking condition that we've all been programmed to be part of, we would rather come up here and be outraged at what some senator or congressman said to Pam Bondi in an interview for her job, rather than get involved and do things as a separate group, as a group of Americans that not even separate, a group of Americans that are the government. You, me, we are the government. Vanished and corrupt with Stephen. Don't know who that is. I've never heard of that. Carl did awesome. I like Carl. As far as that conversation, that was pretty fucking awesome, man. Right? And I think people can see that even on issues where we have a disagreement, okay, you don't see ain't no one attacking nobody on this string. You know what I mean? I'm not, if you're going to come up here with some wily fucking bullshit that you can't verify and tell me Brian Kohlberger did it and and the Banfield and the grub truck and the reflections, then I'm going to let you fucking have it. My advice to you is don't call, right? Still on my list for Antichrist, but you go ahead and good one of people right now. Yeah, Salty Mama says he's on her list for the Antichrist. I'm just saying, I mean, user agreements that are included with all of these places that we visit. Those user agreements need to protect our privacy. They need to protect who we are. Advertisers and corporations and companies should not have access to that fucking information. I don't give a fuck how much money they're going to pay for it. And if that hurts the economic prosperity of some of these companies, here's the point you need to fucking get in your head. If your prosperity depends on fucking me losing my freedom of privacy, then you shouldn't be prospering at all, motherfucker. Your business shouldn't exist. If you need to exploit my privacy amongst yourselves as companies, then you shouldn't be companies in the United States. Go to fucking Canada, jerk offs, right? And Americans will agree with that, but they're not going to do anything about it. But these people that want to remove their penis and put different parts into here and things there, and they're quick to fucking boycott Facebook. They're quick to act, to stand up for what they want. What they want generally isn't something that they should even be, although I'm all down with people wanting to chop themselves up and change themselves. I don't object to that at all, so long as you don't get any rights that I'm not entitled to, and so long as you don't get favoritism, and so long as what you're doing doesn't come out of my fucking pocket. My tax money shouldn't be there to change your fucking gender. Whether you're in jail, whether you're in the army, or some jerk off living in some city. There should be no fucking, right? Where's the tax money to help me buy the car? Why aren't taxpayers paying for my car? I need a car, right? And the reason that doesn't exist is because that's not what taxes are for. We all know that. Yet where are we all standing up as a group with an honest observation? We're not saying you can't cut off your willy, knock off your titties. We're not saying you can't do that. We're just saying you do that under your own fucking volition, under your own fucking money, under your own time and power. That's all we're saying. And I don't think even they could disagree with that. They're going to scream and yell and holler because that may keep them from doing it, but it ain't me keeping you from doing it. Why do you need my wallet to do these things that are in your head? You do you, boo. I'll do me, right? Who suck is for sus? Great pros. Katie's Apple Watch is her alibi. It's going to track that she was sleeping. Hey, you don't know that to be true. That's what I mean. People come to these conclusions, and that conclusion would have been made right in the beginning. And here we are a year later, 2 years, whatever, a long fucking time later. And these theories that people think are real and they're going to argue their position is real. It's just crazy. No, it hasn't, Great Pearl. There's been, and the police would have examined that. Right? For all we know, she left at home. We don't know anything about that. And that's what I mean. That's how we get into trouble. And then we want to debate the veracity of what that woman just said, whoever she is. And that shouldn't even be stated. It's got nothing to do with nothing. It's got nothing to do with nothing. You can't be sure law enforcement knows anything on that topic. It's a topic that you decided was, where is that part of the narrative? It isn't. And this is why the internet is just so insane. Is that anything that sounds reasonable becomes something worth debating. And that Harsh is good at that. All opinions should be respected. Well, go fuck yourself, Harsh. I gave him kudos the other day. I'm not going to give him kudos today. Go fuck yourself, Harsh. Not every opinion should be spoken. Sometimes there's that thing, right? Some things need to be kept to yourself. Sometimes you need to shut your fucking mouth. It's one thing to think about things, But it's another thing to open your mouth about things. And therefore, that's kind of a fucking reality check that all opinions don't hold value. They're valuable to you. That's it. Keep it to yourself. No, well, that's not, but there's no information as to whether that did or did not have any part to do with this case. And the idea that people a year later think that that's a sudden revelation, okay? Didn't they review electronics? They reviewed electronics, so I don't know what the deal is here. I just don't know. Do you get up out of bed and the first thing you do is put on that watch to go check on your son? You can just argue. My point is, you can argue that both ways and never come to any understanding of anything. That's why them kind of topics suck. Right? All that does is it gets you're trying to get people to believe what you think, and they're trying to get you to believe what you believe, and in the end, what do you end up with? Nothing. No answers, no moving forward. No, but they did not share the findings with the public, but they also didn't arrest her, did they? They didn't arrest her. It's not going right over my head. The problem is it's way over your head. That piece of information, we don't have an answer to whether they did or didn't. And so what's the value of that piece of information? Nothing. I don't care if people sleep with their watch on. I don't care if she slept with her watch on. They reviewed the electronics, right? They reviewed the electronics. And so whatever they did after their review, they did. That's all we can go on. We can't now debate whether she did have it on and what it would prove, because that's just senseless. Whatever bearing or relevance that had has either been addressed or not been addressed, and that's up to the police. That's it. We don't know. And what I'm saying is to say that that watch has any part of this case is just doesn't. There's nowhere for it. And it's not worth debating whether it could show something, did show something, or might show something. It's just kind of silly. Right. I mean, look at the totality. So when you look at circumstantial evidence is evidence that isn't got verifiable proof, but these circumstances that took place all lead to this conclusion. Right. So I don't know. That's what I mean. Topics like that are easy to dive into that hole and discuss and debate back and forth about what that watch means or could not mean or does mean. And it's such a waste of fucking resources of our own brains. It matters not. Right? Yeah, but you can't. There's no way you can prove that, Gray. You can't prove that. You have no access to that information. None. And so there's nothing to say that watch was even on her or near her or in use, or the battery wasn't dead or this or that. You have no information about that watch other than somehow you have got information that she owned a watch. That's all you have. That's the only fact that you have, right? No. But again, it's the if. If is the biggest two-letter word in the world. If is the worst word to address anything by. If. Right? If my grandmother had wheels, she would have been a bicycle. If. Right? If my grandmother had wheels, she'd be a bicycle. It's not even fighting. I'm just trying to show you that sometimes these topics that get brought forward are a never-ending topic. They don't move any of the needles anywhere. And it's just it's almost, I don't get it. I don't even understand. How is that entertaining or even, I don't know, man. It's just very difficult for me to wrap my head around that stuff. And I understand that the great majority of us are all down with discussing that watch. I just don't find any value in it. Its relevance to this case is what? Nothing other than what we want to ascribe it to mean. And we have no basis to support that. Well, sure the fuck could prove her innocence. No, you don't know that to be true. That's what I mean. You really believe what you're saying is factual, and it just isn't. It's the most unfactual thing that you're actually speaking. It sure the fuck could prove her innocence. No, absolutely no. No, we know that to be not true. Okay. We know that to be not true because of the actions of the police officer and the statements made by the officials investigating the case. They didn't have to mention the watch now, did they? They told you that all the parents are cooperating. And at this point, there are no suspects. Okay? They've told you that they went through the electronics. Now, you want to get into the minutia, then you need to go to the police department and ask them. If you want the truth, the only way to make that watch any part of this case is to have an open discussion with the police and they disclose what they did or did not do, what they knew or did not know about an Apple Watch. That's the only place this discussion can happen from. You could speculate out here all day and swear and scream and yell that it will prove this or prove that. Well, you really have no information to support that. The data on her watch isn't going. I don't really care what her watch says or doesn't say. It really matters not to me because you don't know what it says and I don't know what it says and we just won't know what it says. So why are we even having the conversation? It's really that simple. None of us have any data on that watch at all. So woulda, coulda, shoulda. If. Right? Right? If I was born with a 15-inch penis, I could have been in porn. If. Right? If I was born to Donald Trump, I could be rich. If. That's why YouTube sucks and all the social media sucks. It's because it's things like that get stuck into the mix and then people want to discuss just how valuable that watch could or could not be. Man. It's just off the rails. You definitely probably wouldn't want to be my wifey. Country brat, you better get your ass to bed if your watch is telling you. Remember, that's a smart watch. That's a smartphone. It was smart. Listen, I'm not saying the observation isn't a nice observation to make, but it should end at that. The observation of that watch could be valuable evidence is fantastic. But then trying to define what it could be and what it might show and what it doesn't show and what it didn't show, and it's just mindless, right? It really is. That like my observation on the Idaho 4. There is no claim of forced entry in any of the locations, either getting in and out or into any in and out of any of those rooms, right? So I mean, that doesn't give us a conclusion, but that definitely gives an investigator a basis to start the way they view what they're looking at, right? That's a good piece of fact. That watch in her possession may have some information that helps. But as to what that information is or is not, isn't really worth debating. Was it included in the investigation? We don't know. It's a great question for the investigators. It's a great question to ask the Proudfoots. So I'm not discounting what I'm saying is that's where it needs to end. Its relevance only becomes relevant when it is actually and factually a part of the story. I think some observations would help. Maybe the investigators missed this, but it could go any way it wants to go, and it's difficult to talk like and debate. Some things are undebatable. The difference between you're bringing up a watch and me bringing up a home that has no signs of forced entry is that there is factual information to know there was no forced entry and that it was never reported to be forced entry anywhere. We all know all the doors had locks. That's a fact. So the observation I'm making is based on actual fact. Now, the observation that woman owned that watch, I don't know if that's true or not true. Is it if she owned the watch or did she own the watch? How do we know she owned the watch? Did we see it on her? Is it? I don't know any of that. And so to put that watch out there is something that would provide a conclusive answer one way or the other. You first have to establish that as being part of the facts that were given to us. And then wait to see if an answer comes forward somewhere. But I wouldn't rest my head on its veracity into this case. So the Texas Roadhouse absolutely shows she wears an Apple Watch. It's the cell phone from point A to point B to home. The last call was for, I don't know what you're saying there, Anna. All right, so she wore an Apple Watch. There's a fact. It could lead either way. I get it, but to discuss which way it's going to lead or not lead, or it is what it is. You know, I mean, do we know the date that she? I don't know. If she had it on that night, then you would suspect she had the watch in her possession the whole time, and that's great. I don't think the police would have missed that, but they could have. But based on what I saw the police do, they looked to be pretty intent on trying to find an answer to how this child went missing. Yeah, you need an Apple Watch for Seth's fat ass. Poor Seth. Yeah, he's made a mess of everything, and he should have just stayed out of the way, right? He should have just stayed out of the way. I mean, there were people that were putting up billboards. He should have directed people to go to the billboard people and not come out and look like he was looking. I mean, everything he did does give people these, because we're so prone to look at things and then conclude things when there's no evidence to make the conclusion. We make these leaps of decisions, right? I can't conclude that anybody in that house or someone else was in that house before these people. I can't conclude that any of that's true. I can make an observation of it, but I can't argue the truth of it. What I can say is that someone turning their phone off 12 miles away at 2:57 a.m. isn't a suspicious act at all. I can also say that you don't know whether he turned it off or not. I can say that to be true too. Nobody can say whether it was on, off, disconnected from the network, or in airplane mode. So I would have said to the cop, why even put this in the PCA? What are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? The cops knew that the 12 previous trips, they determined that those 12 previous trips had nothing to do with that house or those victims or that crime. Those 12 previous trips were an every other week trip that he'd been taking since he moved there. And they didn't bring him to the house. They didn't put him in the house. Nobody can identify him near the house. So that whole story, he stalked these people, was a conspiracy theory the policemen put forward in an application for a warrant. None of it was supportable. They even came out, eventually they had to come out and admit that he didn't stalk, that those 12 trips had nothing to do with nothing. But they let the public think that for months and months and months and months and months, years, almost 2 years, right? That's the problem when you start diving into coulda, woulda, shoulda. That whole PCA in the Kohlberger case is an exercise in coulda, woulda, shoulda. If he turned off his phone to mask his location and he drove over here, and then your observation of a vehicle of similar make model in that area is still an if. And to me, the most damning information of all is when Ann says, do any of the videos of the car or any of the videos you collected identify Brian Kohlberger or the car belonging to Brian Kohlberger? And the cop says no. So your whole case is about if. That to me is a bunch of fucking horseshit. Ifs don't answer the question as to is this perpetrator the only perpetrator? Right? Your entire PCA puts him everywhere but at that house. Everywhere but the house. If, in fact, what you were actually tracking was his car. We don't even know if what they were tracking in the videos that they collected had anything to do with his car. We just don't know that. They're telling us it did, but then they're also telling us in the same breath that none of that video could confirm Kohlberger or that being Kohlberger's car. So what the fuck were they tracking? It's almost a circle jerk argument that they make. And then the testimony on the stand shows you the whole argument's a circle jerk argument. What do you mean, Officer Payne? All of this video collection, all those terabytes of data, and nothing identifies Kohlberger specifically or his car in these videos as being his? Then what are we doing here, bro? When you say there was multiple ways he could have left that crime scene, if he was there, but you don't have any video to suggest which way he would have left or did leave. More importantly, you have no video to show that he did leave a certain way. And you admit that on the stand? I don't understand. Yeah, we don't know that the university is covering up stuff. I mean, again, that's another side topic. There's no evidence to support that. There's a lot of like Carl was showing coincidences, right? There's a lot of, you could read into any of that, but you have no evidence to support that. So why even waste your time on it? The real issue is, did the government provide us the information that beyond a reasonable doubt places Koberger in that house? And most people that are guilters are going to jump to the DNA. Most people that are not guilters that scream he's innocent will jump to the platitude of things I pointed to. And what I'm trying to get people to see is that neither one of you are right or wrong. You're both wrong. You're both wrong. Nobody knows conclusively what happened that night. Nobody knows. Except Brian Koberger knows his role in it or not in it. Only he knows. And what it's behooving upon the government to do is to provide data that's factually based through eyewitness testimony, photographs, video, sound, witnesses, physical evidence. All of that is what you're to be charged and convicted with. Not woulda, coulda, shoulda. Even when it's solved, people, here's the other big problem, because this happens in everything. Even when it's solved, half of the people aren't going to accept the result, and the other half of the people are going to argue with the people that don't accept the result, and you're still not going to have any, you're not going to move the needle anywhere. That fucked up government, that fucked up law enforcement agency, that fucked up town government is going to continue to exist doing what it's been doing since before there was ever the Idaho 4. And that's where our attention needs to lie. It needs to be on that, right? I was on Lana's stream today. I don't know if any of you caught that, but I got a link here. A link. It says, and she covers something that I never heard Steve Conclave say. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this as I've always said. I've never, ever, ever care what Steve Conclave says, what any of the parents say, what they think, what they feel, what they... I don't care what they say. If they come out in unison and say Bigfoot took their kid or Bigfoot killed their kids, I am not going to have an opinion on that at all. However, there are some things that have been said that were told to Steve Gonzalez, however you want to say his name, that he has either slipped or he has let loose to the public. And some of those things, they're good points of interest. Again, are they true or false? We don't know, except there are a couple of things that he said. One thing specifically that we now know, to the best that we can know, is inaccurate. And what we do know is that he didn't stalk them and that there is no electronic connection. Okay? There is no connection between Brian Koberger electronically or otherwise. We also know by the argument of the defense that there is nothing connecting Brian Koberger to the crime scene in any forensic analysis. Hair, blood, sweat, clothing, trophies, nothing. No knife, nothing. And these are issues that Steve had told us a little different story about. He'd come out and said he's been told that there's forensics electronic examinations going on right now that's going to show people things that they're not even going to be able to believe. It's very complicated. And I don't doubt that he was told that. But let me bring up what Lana's stream was about. This stream took place, actually, I was done with YouTube. Now it may have been a little justification for a possible addiction. Yeah. So in this stream, she says Steve Conclave's columns, whatever. We'll just call him Steve G. He talks about DNA on a sleeve and a leg. And this is where I parted ways with Lana respectfully. I think some of the information that Steve spit out into the public, intentionally or otherwise, in support of Brian Koberger being the person that committed the crime, I think in that area, he's been given information to calm him down. And the information was always given to him under the context that whatever they share is connected to Brian. So I suspect that when Steve came forward and talked about DNA on a sleeve and leg, that is in fact a fact. I can't, well, time will tell. I accept that as a fact that there was DNA found on a sleeve and on one of the girls or victim's legs. Just like I accept that there was DNA found on a knife sheath. However, I also suspect that the description of those two locations are actually describing the DNA that was never identified, but loaded into CODIS to determine they were male samples. Okay? That's what I gleaned from what Mr. Gonzalez or Steve G was telling us when he was told that there was DNA on his sleeve and leg. His interpretation of that led him to understand that to belong to Brian. And I don't suspect that that's what he was led to believe or allowed to conclude. I think he was told that there were 3 DNAs found within the crime scene, one on a sheath, one on an arm, and one on a leg. And he made that connection himself. However, I suspect the locations that he's given us are completely accurate. And that the other 2 samples that were found in the house within the crime scene are in the location Steve has given us. I don't suspect Steve is telling us a lie or made that up on his own. I suspect that Mr. Gonzalez was given that information. And because Kohlberger is the one they've been pointing to, because Kohlberger's the guy they keep saying did it, that his interpretation of the locations were impugning to Mr. Kohlberger. And time will tell. He's either telling us an accurate thing or the accuracy is there, but the samples did not belong to Bryant. They were the 2 unidentified DNA samples that were collected at that scene. There were 3 unidentified, 1 on a glove, 2 within the house near the crime scene, and then the 1 on the knife sheath. That accounts for all the DNA we're aware of. And so when I saw that, I thought that connection, whether it's true or false, was a valid connection to make with the facts that we have. And some of the things that he said, as I pointed out, were things that he interpreted to mean they caught Brian on the Wi-Fi, or that they had a way of looking at electronics much deeper and different than we're aware of, which he had come forward and told us. And that is true. But then when the defense came out and made their points, and now with that policeman on the stand, I think it's not too much of a coincidence to see that a lot of the information Steve gave to the public that now Ann Taylor and the motions and the hearings have shown to be inaccurate or untrue, I think also applies to his statement of the location of those DNAs. In as much as I accept the locational understanding of what he is telling us, I just think that in the context of what we all know now, that those samples on the sleeve and leg, coincidentally 2 of them, that can't be a coincidence. I guess it could be, but we know that there were 3 DNAs associated with inside the house with the crime scene, 1 being Brian's, 2 unidentified. I think Mr. Gonzalez gave us information that will pan out as time goes forward. And panning out, that's a big problem for this touch DNA case. Transfer DNA case, if there's other transfer DNA fucking available on the crime scene, then you're going to have a real hard problem narrowing it down to just 1 guy. To the point of, if you can't identify the other 2 people, then you can't identify the role. So let's as you may look at this, 3 unknown sources of DNA and you identify 1, but you can't identify the other 2. There's no way you can speak to the actions of the 1 if you have 3 DNA samples, 2 that can't be chased down because you weren't able to investigate them. So how can you exclude them from doing the acts that you're accusing Mr. Kohlberger of? And that's going to be a big problem with the DNA. And I've said this months and months ago when they came forward and told us there were 3 samples. And they told us the location basically being in the house near the crime scene. That means, in my humble experience and knowledge, that DNA did not come from a washer or dryer. It didn't come from the mailbox by the front door. That DNA had to be something directly associated with the crime scene and the victims themselves. And so 3 DNA samples, 1 on the sheath, and I think it's more than fair to say the other 2 were also collected directly off a victim's leg and off a victim's sleeve. And I wouldn't be surprised if that was all collected from his daughter, sadly. So, yeah, I agree. It is getting kind of late. There's still 117 of you. People feel free to call in. Right? Feel free to call in. And let me just say this, that because I think it may appear that I'm taking information and making a conclusion no different than people did with the Apple Watch. But the difference in these two examples is that we do know for a fact there's 3 DNAs there. We've never been told the locations. We've only been told the location of one bit of DNA. So when one of the parents that was highly involved, not just with the police, but publicly, comes forward and adds 2 more locations, it's kind of difficult to walk away from the connection. It's not fact, it can't be proven, but that's the closest we've gotten to understand where the other DNA samples were collected from. And time will prove that to be accurate or inaccurate. So that's it. That's the end of the conversation. I don't know. Again, like I said, what you don't know, you don't know. But even if the location of that DNA wasn't on a leg or a seat, it was on a bedpost, or it was on the door handle, or it was, if it's in direct relationship to the crime, having 3 DNA samples with only one possible identity through some extraneous effort of IgG makes the case highly, highly likely not to be prosecutable. Because therein is a good example of where no evidence exists is evidence itself. So if you have 3 different male DNAs associated directly with these crime scenes, and you only can identify one, and we all know how they identified it, right? Amplified it, fucked with it, went and did it, this, and that. So meanwhile, it's possible the real perpetrators run free. Meanwhile, that is possible. Unless they can directly associate that car with the crime. Remember, the car is only associated with the crime because of Dylan's statements about what she did and about what time it was. Those statements correlate with what they found the video to show of vehicle's movements. A vehicle that they can't confirm to belong to Kohlberger. Okay? A vehicle that they have no video, no pictures, no witness testimony, or no evidence was exited, crime was then committed, and then re-entered and drove off. There is no evidence to connect that. The car itself may be completely meaningless and completely not involved with this crime. We don't know. They don't have any hard connection. And now you've got three male DNAs, which we've always had for a year or more. We've known that to be true. But I think Steve gives us light to the location or the proximity, at least, of where the other 2 DNA samples were found. And I think that's a fair observation to make. Facts will bear that forward or not bear that forward. But it is part of the story. The real perpetrators run free. That may or may not be true. We don't know that Brian didn't do it. We don't know that he did do it. There's as many ways to argue that he did do it. With, I guess if you just want to take what the police says, there's one way. I find that to be a little suspicious, but I just through the testimony I've heard in these hearings, to me, the testimony in the hearing shoots it all down. He wasn't stalking them. That's a big deal. His car wasn't identified around that house, and 11 to 13 was identified. And the FBI agents made the statement, I'm very comfortable with the identity of the 11 to 13. That's been said, that's been brought forward to the public, that statement. That isn't something that people are making up. So if the FBI agent is convinced the car around the house is 11 to 13, then that throws that car may not have anything to do with the crime scene. Doesn't mean Brian didn't commit the crime. Let me repeat that. But what it does mean is that particular car, you now have to show its direct involvement. You can't say the DNA sample shows that Brian drove around that house. That's just mindless. So all the police are telling you is there was a car driving around. What does that mean? Based on the FBI's identity of that vehicle, it means nothing. Doesn't even mean the car was involved. That's probably the most simple way to look at the car's movements, is having no connection to that crime. Because it doesn't put the suspect you've accused. at that house at that time during that event that Dylan described. It's actually exculpatory. That's the biggest piece of exculpatory evidence ever. And she argued and argued and fought and fought and fought until she finally got that released to her in discovery. The images from that vehicle. You know, why would they hold all that back? Why would they let this narrative carry? And that's the scary thing. That's why some of these ideas that people pump out there. Look at all the narratives online with some of these creators. The two that I mentioned with all their crazy concoctions of information. None of it has anything to do with the accusations against Brian. They're telling you this guy did it, that guy did it. Paparazzi saying these people did it, that guy did it. The white nationalists didn't do it. The Nazis didn't do it. This guy. Wow. It's fucking exhausting, folks. It really is. Well, he is a bystander. Why is he in that situation? It's probably the best question I've seen in a long time. I don't know. Why did my parent die of a heart attack? Why did my neighbor's kid get hit by a car? You know, there isn't always an answer to things that happen in life, and we all should know that as an adult. Some things happen. And the police at this point made decisions. And nobody can speak to what the police's decisions were but the police that made them. You try to glean that from the data that's being released. So my question is, if that were your child that drove the same car but a different year, and both of these years can be identifiably ascertained to be one or the other, right? It's a black and white thing. An 11 to 13 Elantra is the exact same body style and vehicle as a 14 to 16, Anna. The only differences in these vehicles are minor cosmetic changes to the outer body bumpers. Minor changes to the rims that these vehicles ride on. That's it. Could they have mistakenly identified Brian Kohlberger's car? I guess. But when the FBI tells you that that car is an 11 to 13 and your suspect has a 15, to me, you have to connect Brian to that car. Or if I were an investigator, I would have taken the cars out of my perspective and looked at the crime from an angle that did not include the use of a vehicle around that house. Right? And that's what you do by what we call a process of elimination. You're taking the data that you have and you're trying to make it make sense. So one of the observations that would be fair to make would be to remove the discussion of the automobile from the crime scene altogether, because you have no direct evidence. And if your suspect killer is Brian, then clearly the car that they identified is not Brian's. Therefore, ignore the car, folks. That's right. You work with the data at hand. And at that point, when you're using strictly the data that's available to you, then the sky is the limit and you trying to understand that. Crazy thoughts, reasonable thoughts. But I think what people don't seem to really want to wrap their head around is solving the crime is not possible, nor should you be trying to do that. You should be trying to understand the data that's being given to us. That's why Kohlberger right now is arguing. He wants this all unsealed. All of these arguments in court must be unsealed. And you can never know why the police made the decision they made. Okay? Clearly, they've come to the conclusion whatever that vehicle is had something to do with the crime. But what makes that so? What piece of evidence makes that part of reality of that night? There needs to be that connective tissue, right? Like you got tendons that go to your fingers. If I chop off your tendon, you're not moving your finger, but you still got a finger. So chop off the car, you still have a crime scene. Get rid of the vehicles from this PCA, throw them in the garbage can and look at the crime scene with no vehicle involvement. Where does that lead you? And they don't appear to have done any of that. They latched onto this Elantra. They latched onto this guy's 12 trips. They latched onto all of these things that on their face may have made sense, but now through the process of court are being shown to be unverifiable data. They're statements made of things they thought happened. And I don't want anybody to go to prison because somebody thinks you did something. And that brings us back to why there's a Constitution. Why did we, the people, write limits? Why did we, the people, do that? We're telling the government what it shall not do. The government is not telling you it's okay to have free speech. It's the opposite. It's the opposite of that. You exist, but these are the things you cannot do. We created you. God created us. God places no limits on freedom. Freedom places limits on government. That's the way your country is designed, folks. You're the only one. We are the only nation in our known history to have done this. Okay? So, however they got to this guy, I don't know. And we can theorize, well, there was a big $1 billion deal. There was a, what about Enon? What about this? What about, and all of that's just such a waste of fucking energy. Look at what they're doing. Look at what they've charged. Look at what evidence they've used to try to support their position. Brian did the crime. That's something you can wrap your head around. That's something you can discuss. So long as you don't try to bring in video from the Banfield, video from this place, video from that place. You're getting into the team. Imagine if someone in your family died and all these people are doing all of these fucking theoretical things. That's why, like I said earlier with Harsh, fuck that bullshit, Harsh. Every opinion should not be discussed. Some jerk off telling you they parachuted onto that deck and then hung off a tree limb from a pine tree that's only an inch thick and jumped onto the deck. That's that fucking crime circus, dude. That shouldn't be discussed. That's filthy. That's insane. That undignifies the sanctity of life that was taken on that particular day. That's why I get all stressed out with the internet. Some of the stuff that comes out, I don't even know if people know. Like, I don't think Lana tried to even look at Gonzalez's statement about location of DNA. I think that I said that to her today. I thought she would have internally made that connection, that the sleeve and leg is relevant in as much as that explains potentially the location of the other two DNAs, which are real. It's real. There's really 3 pieces of DNA associated to that crime scene. And so for Steve to say Steve and leg, or not sleeve and leg, not Steve and leg, fits into what we know, directly fits into what we know. And we won't know how accurate that is until this carries on forward. Yeah, it's becoming more and more obvious that that's a potential solution, okay? That Brian didn't do this. That is a potential outcome of this. But he doesn't have to prove that. But it's also a potential outcome that he did do this, and that this police work that looks to be the mess. It really looks to be the mess. It's almost as if you have a cake to bake, right? And you have all these ingredients that go into your cake, and you simply throw all the ingredients into the oven, hoping that when the bell fucking rings on your timer, you're going to have a complete edible cake. I think that's a pretty good fucking analogy, if I can say so myself, and I just did. But you don't take the separate parts of a cake and throw them on their own shelf in the oven and expect a fucking edible birthday cake when you're done. Those fucking pieces of those ingredients must be mixed in precise amounts, okay, and combined to make the cake. And that's exactly how the justice system is supposed to work, folks. Their allegations, what they allege, what they say is fact or not fact, have to all add up. And when you're done, the cake that you bake is an edible cake, right? It was stated in court the feds found no evidence to indict Biden. I didn't see that. I didn't hear that. You know who would know that? Would be that girl Heidi. Heidi's got this little crew. I don't know if you're part of that crew, but Heidi's got that little crew that comes in, puts in somebody's videos. Where in court was it stated the feds found no evidence to indict Brian? Has anybody got that? No. Can I just say something musical? They put it forward, and they never alleged Kohlberger had anything to do with those crimes. But the fact that they included those crimes to make it, in other words, they're trying to fluff their narrative in the public opinion. They did use an unrelated crime in his home state to impugn his character. They absolutely did do that, but without directly saying he committed those crimes. Here's another thing they did to impugn Brian Kohlberger, smeared Brian Kohlberger, is they never told us until this year, recently. Okay, I love cake. Oh, I'm a good baker of cakes too. They didn't tell us until this year that in September 2021, somebody broke in or climbed into a house full of college students, college women, with a knife. And one of the people initially that he came to hurt kicked him in the gut, or her in the gut, or whoever it was. And that person fled the property. So a crime, almost a mirroring crime, was kept quiet for all of this time. And then the argument is, and I tried pointing this out in Lana's stream, the argument was that person was about 5'5". But that's perfect. Again, go back to the facts of the Idaho 4. And this is, you guys can call this a theory all you want, but this information is based on data. The level that Dylan stood on was 5 to 6 inches lower. I'll say 6 inches lower than where the perpetrator walked towards her. Therefore, a 5'4" or a 5'5" man completely fills her description of 5'10" to 6 foot. That same perpetrator from September 2021 could have been the perpetrator on that night in that house, because her view, to which she claims showed her bushy eyebrows, a mask, clad in black, was a person walking towards her. Nobody can discount that. You can't argue that, because you're not going to see my eyebrows if I'm walking away from you. Therefore, when you look at the crime scene, she didn't say he walked in from the sliding glass door. She said he walked towards her and then turned towards the sliding glass door. It went out towards the sliding glass door. Therefore, that 6 inches in floor height matters. If Brian Koberger walked towards her on that floor, he would have been 6 foot 6 inches tall at the least. And she would have had to physically look up at the perpetrator she claims is in that home. She herself is 5'9" to 5'10". So just imagine that. Looks out her bedroom door and sees a perpetrator coming towards her that appears to be 5'10" or 5'10" to 6 feet. That means they're at face level. Right? That's how you would observe height. When someone says, "How tall is your mother?" you immediately put your mother up against your height and you make a guess. That's natural. That's how we do it. So, somebody at 5'5" on a 6 inch higher floor walking towards Dylan would give her the impression that that perpetrator is 5'10" to 6 foot tall. As a matter of fact, the description of the perpetrator, this is the best part, in September 2021 was 5'3" to 5'5". That's the description exactly of the perpetrator that was described in September 2021. Put that same perpetrator in that crime scene and have them walk towards Dylan's doorway. And then you make the observation how tall that is. After 8 hours of fucking waiting, after God knows what happened during those 8 hours, after discovering the death of 4 of your roommates, after all of that shit happens, and then a cop asks you, do you have any idea how tall the person was? And what's her memory going to flash back to? What she witnessed? What did she witness? A man walking towards her, 5'10" to 6 foot tall, which makes that man 5'3" to 5'5". I would make that argument in court, and I guarantee the jury would buy it, because it fits the factual data that we have available to us. And why did they hide? Why did they keep that case quiet? Why did the media not report on that? The media love drama. Why didn't they tell us this in December of 2022, in January of 2023, right? They waited all the way until like November, December of 24th for that to come out. And I don't even think it only got attention in the mainstream media because, and this is the irony of it, wherever that story was printed and put forward, it was the YouTube media that brought that forward. But everybody has ignored that data. And I think that that data provides probably the best reasonable doubt. Yes, they could have been much shorter. She went into frozen shock phase, closed her door and locked it. That person at that point would have then stepped down and headed out towards the sliding glass door, which is pretty much what the police are saying. She didn't say she witnessed him walk, to my understanding. Maybe she did. But I don't think she said she witnessed him walk out the sliding glass door. He was walking towards her, going toward, heading towards the sliding glass door, which makes sense because there's no other way to get to that fucking door than to walk through the living area and across, step down and step into the kitchen. It was one stride from the living area to the kitchen. Just towards. So I've made this point on this stream several times. Seems, call me a conspiracy theorist. Say I'm doing what Tommy Jude did. I dare you. Because that's absolutely not what I'm doing. I'm taking 100% factual information and seeing if it fits and seeing if it makes sense. And I'm not adding anything to it. I'm not adding a name to the perp. I'm not embellishing what Dylan said. None of that. No, that's another one of them drip drop, that fucking crime circus with that ladder. I want to take that ladder and smash him over the head with it. Literally, that guy, that's just completely unfucking unmentionable that guy came out and made that point with that ladder and so many people ran with that. Unbelievable, that fucking jerk off. There's no evidence that ladder was involved. And the fact that they used it for hold crime scene tape and left the ladder behind is more indicative that that was actually stood up there by the police to hold their crime scene tape. Okay? That explains the ladder and a much easier, a much more sensible understanding because that ladder was never taken as evidence. That ladder has nothing to do with nothing except that fucking drip drop telling everybody it does. And everybody running around believing drip drop. Fucking guy. What a fucking puke that guy is. What did Laura say here? They walk past her towards the gate, so that means they've had to step down before they got to her door. No, that does not mean that. That means that as he had walked towards her, she witnessed what she witnessed, and then she closed the door and locked it, which means that then he would have stepped down and walked out towards the sliding glass door. She doesn't get into any of that. Her only observation was him walking towards her. And Yvonne, the hallway is one stride. I got a video in one of my streams that shows Zaina coming from the kitchen into the living area, and short little Zaina took one step from the kitchen into the living area. And when she's walking that one step, she goes from the kitchen, she takes a step into the hallway, and when you freeze that video, the top of her head is equal with the first landing on the staircase. So when you look at the image, you could see the top, the landing, because the staircase makes a turn. So there's 6 or 7 steps, and then there's a landing, and then there's 6 or 7 steps to go further up. That landing is at the top of her head. The next step that Zaina takes puts her inside the living area. And when she takes that step up, that landing is now just above her shoulder. So you can clearly see the transition from Dylan's room to the common area adds a significant amount of height. If you were standing in Dylan's room and you could see the person move from both levels, then you would consciously know that. But if you saw Dylan walking towards you from the kitchen floor or from the hallway or from Dylan's room, your initial thought would be that Dylan is much taller than she really is. Unless you take into account the difference in the floor. Listen, I got my house, there's a 4.5-inch difference between an addition and the living area. And I always walk in first, right? Got to hold the door, open the door. I walk in first, and it doesn't matter who's with me. I always turn around and say, "How you get so short?" And then I laugh and I say, watch your step. And then when they step up there, but initially when I'm towering over whoever it might be, usually it's a short girl or a friend. And and I always point that out. I laugh. How'd you get so short? Don't watch yourself. There's a step here. So I think that those two crimes are similar enough. I think that, is it a coincidence? No, I don't suspect there's any coincidence in Dylan's observation. If in fact somebody was walking towards her, if what she's telling us is true, and we have to say that it is because that's the testimony thus far, that there is an explanation that the perpetrator could have been shorter, and most likely was shorter, because she then froze, closed her door, and hid. Never then keeping it. She had no eyes on the perpetrator once he walked past her. And clearly he did not walk past her. He walked towards her. Twizzle clarified that a minute ago. Let me just say, Twizzle, that ladder, as a guy that owns a construction company, okay, you would have to be a fucking idiot to place that ladder that way with that much distance between the top of the ladder and the roof. You would have to be a goddamn moron. I'm 5'10". Twiz. You would have been more likely to jump off that roof at that age. College age guys. It would have been much easier to hang from that roof and just drop yourself down. There's no way you would have tried to use that fucking ladder. That ladder was at least 4 or 5 feet below the roof line. So you go stand on top of that ladder, and you got to somehow now, and it might even have been higher than that. But anyways, 4 or 5 feet. So you climb on that flimsy ass fucking ladder on an angle, that piece of shit $9.99 fucking step ladder, and you try to pull yourself up to a roof above you, and not think you're not going to kick that ladder off from underneath you, or that ladder isn't going to slide right or left. You're insane. You've never used a ladder. It's just the most improbable thing. And to suggest that you would use that ladder to get down from that height, you don't put a ladder 5 feet below you and then try to fucking hang from a roof to get your feet on it. Hell no. You would have been better off hanging from the roof and just dropping to the ground. Not only that, there were no damage to the blinds. There was no damage to the windows. There were no open windows. There was no curtains that were dislodged. There was nothing to suggest that any of these windows had anything to do with the entry of the suspect. Except Drip Drop's fucking stupid fucking story about a ladder. I'm not making up the September crime in 2021. I'm not inventing that. That's real. I'm not inventing the floor plan of the house. That's fucking real. That ladder is real. But then he invents a story. I'm not telling you Dylan had someone walk towards you. She told you that, not me. He is telling you that somebody used that ladder for entry or retreat. And it's just, if you know ladders, that's about the dumbest fucking thing I ever heard. I made and I still think that it's possible that anybody that came into that sliding glass door, if they were looking for somebody on the second floor and were not familiar with that home, okay, and we're not familiar with that home, the two things that those rooms have in common are they're in the corners. They're corner rooms. So one of the things I considered was if you walked into that house unknowing and told that you were looking for the corner room on the second floor, that walking into the second floor, not realizing that, and then going up them stairs, you would have the illusion of being on the first floor when you entered the property, if you weren't aware of the premises. And that may fit into Steve Gonzalez's stating they had no reason to go upstairs. However, if the person was unfamiliar with that property, coming in through the sliding glass door would represent, even anybody with any brain, you wouldn't know you were walking into a second story. It's ground level, the second story. Ground level uniquely to the back. But again, if you don't know the property, walking in through the sliding glass door, you're going to think you're on the first level. And that going up the stairs to those two young girls' room upstairs would have been the second level. Them rooms were in, that room was in the corner. So, I mean, there's a lot of information that we were given, and you could view it in so many different ways. And that's the problem for the prosecution. There's too many ways to view and interpret the data that they've given us, because the data they've given us don't fit the interpretation they're selling. I'm here to buy a car, and you're trying to sell me watermelons with pictures on them, right? Yeah, that could be true. Dylan could be the most, and Bethany could be completely innocent. I still, like, we've all had these issues with this 8-hour delay, right? With the friends being called before the police, with Dylan's description of her going into the frozen shock phase. You know, I'm sorry. And then here's the other problem is, were her text messages or phone usage, did they all end when she went into frozen shock phase? We don't know. They claim they used the phones they downloaded the phones to establish the time of the crime. But the phones nor their testimony did anything to connect that car to the crime. So the car's a video separate from the testimony, separate from the phone downloads. You got to make it all fit. And they do what seems to be a reasonably good job in trying to make it all make sense. But again, I just don't see how that all it flows is connected. So doctor is pretty tall. She's 5'9". What do you guys think of that guy, Carl? He's pretty awesome. And yeah. Yeah, that guy that ran away to me is and that to me is why that house, and I didn't think this before, but I now am kind of upset that house was tore down. I know that if you brought that jury into Dylan's room, okay, and they had just walked into that house from the sliding glass door, and they walked from the sliding glass door, and all jurors went into the bedroom, all 12, and each of those jurors were then positioned so they couldn't see out the door, and then one at a time were asked to open the door and look out to see what they see. And somebody that fits the description that Dylan gave, who's only 5'5", makes that walk. And then they close the door and go to the back of the line. Okay? Or the scene is stopped and that person is removed from the room. But I think what you should do is keep all 12 of the jurors in that room. And then go in that room and ask the people in the room, how tall was the perpetrator you saw walk towards you? And I would send several people. I would send one at 5'5". I would send one at 6 foot. And I would have each of the jurors open the door as Dylan described and look out and give me the height of what they're viewing. Because if it were Brian Kohlberger, he would have been 6'6" as he walked towards her door. And I suspect, folks, that you would see the jurors tell you what they observed, and it would be consistent with what I'm telling you. That these jurors, an individual observer, would have seen a 5'5" guy at 5'10" to 6 foot. Put him in a mask, give him bushy eyebrows, put him in black, dim the lights, and let the game begin. And I suspect that almost, if not all, I suspect all jurors looking out based on her description of that night, that person walking towards them would have fit Dylan's description. And then I might have ran the test again with a guy that was 6 foot tall. And I bet you that all of them would have said that guy was way too tall to be the perpetrator. So I have to recant my accepting them tearing down the house. I think that house could have played a huge role in reasonable doubt that Brian Kohlberger didn't commit the crime. Again, I'm not saying he did or didn't, but I'm saying in the court in the court, you need to make things as simple for the juror as possible. You don't want to try to describe what I've described to you of that difference in floor height. You want to actually put the juror in the position of the witness and let the juror make their decision on what they viewed. Okay? And that would be, to me, that would be mind-boggling. Even in the Karen Reed case where that lawyer didn't bring a taillight to court and light the taillight up and it beamed red. Okay? Could have went to AutoZone. You could have ordered the thing. You could have got the exact same taillight that her vehicle uses. Okay? You brought in a little battery that wouldn't be dangerous to anybody and lit the taillight, showed how it showed red. And then put on the screen the picture of the rear of her vehicle pulling away after the crime, showing that both of those taillights showed red. And then, because you had already set it up, take the piece that you, in other words, I would set up so I could remove a chunk of taillight and then turn the taillight again on in a dark room for the jurors to see and let the jurors see how much white light blows out of the back of that fucking lens. Reminding the jurors that the automobile taillights only appear red because of the lens. The bulb itself is a white light, just like any light that you have in your home. I don't think that lawyer did a good job in his closing arguments. I think that would have put an end to it all. That she backed into him and her taillight broke. That would have destroyed the whole case. Because the images of her vehicle with two taillights come after the crime was supposedly took place. Okay? It was after she had gotten home and left again. And I think that would have stopped that case cold in its tracks. It would have shown the juror that had that light been broken, as they claim, because she ran into his arm, that light would have been beaming bright white. You would not have two taillights shine into the ass end of that car. And that, that case is still in limbo. I've got to get back to look at that again. See how all that comes out. So that's Lana's stream. I'm going to get rid of it. I was going to play what Lana was saying, but I'm not going to do that. It's getting late. Does that make sense? That's what I mean. How evidence needs to be supported by fact. And even though people can have different opinions on what they understand the fact to be, the police need to present evidence that are clearly factual based and that the conclusion is most likely going to be from the common observer, that which they tell you. Where in the Koberger case, their conclusions, you have to believe in what they're telling you. You have to look for innocence or guilt, and then you either believe or disagree with what they're telling you. And that's how we get all fucked up. That's how a juror gets fucked up. And I don't know the defense lawyers are often presenting the cases strong enough. I think the Karen Reed case, as I pointed out with the lens, that would have been a slam dunk for me. I would have been like, here you go. And they're telling you this is the image of her vehicle after the crime was committed. This is their video image that they provided us, right? Yeah, where the police want you to just believe us. Like there was a question asked earlier, and don't take it personal, but why did they arrest him? There has to be some reason they arrested him. And one of those reasons, just so you know, is they made a mistake. But yet some people just don't seem to be able to accept that the police made a mistake. I'm not accusing the cops of corruption. I'm not accusing the college of corruption. I'm not accusing fucking other people that have no connection to what we know is being involved. I'm not accusing fucking, I'm alleging that a perpetrator that committed a similar crime in a similar way with a similar weapon, dressed in a similar fashion, into a home with similar kind of occupants that was kicked and fled. I'm suggesting to you that probably has a direct correlation to this case, and it makes sense to try to connect them, right? They're two same cases. They kept that secret for over a year and a half. Why? That to me shows intent on the prosecution and on the government to hole shot somebody, to get somebody. To let us all think for all that time that Brian stalked these people, and to put that in an application for a warrant. I just find that to be this is what your representatives do all over the country. You know, go look at the Gilgo case in New York, the beach murder or whatever it was, where there was 10 years this guy continued to remain free, 10 years he continued to maintain killing women because of a corrupt police department. And that case never talked about by any screamer. That case is not talked about by anyone on the news. All they want to talk about is how clever they were, that they followed this guy with a cell phone. They followed him and collected a pizza box, and they matched his DNA. Well, you could have done that 10 years ago, you fucking jerk-offs. But no, you were corrupt. You were committing crimes, bribery, probably racketeering. And therefore, this man was able to continue. And that's what the case should be about. The case shouldn't be about, oh, hurrah, we caught the killer. The case should be about, you jerk-offs are directly responsible and should be on trial along with him, because by failure to do your duty, one or more women were killed. All of those police that were involved in the charges of corruption all need to be charged with murder as co-conspirators to that fuck that killed them women in New York. Okay? Does anybody disagree with that? Isn't that how our officials should they be treated any different than anybody else? Right? With less information than that, they put people in fucking prison. And your whole job as a police officer is to enforce the law. And you guys, by not doing your duty, by being charged with corruption and removed from the force, They should have a higher standard. If the speed limit is 35, they shouldn't be, their car should not allow them to go beyond. Their car should be throttled, not mine, theirs. Right? You want respect? You start showing the public openly how you respect the laws, including traffic laws. That would be a great place for, and we should demand it as citizens. I mean, who are they to go 45 and a 30? Well, because the laws apply to them equally as it applies to us, or there is no rule of law in this country. That's tyranny, folks. When those that represent you and run your government, okay, do what they want to do, that's tyranny. They must follow and adhere to the same rules that you and I have to live by. It's not that fucking hard to understand. Do they teach that at the police academy? No. But isn't that what they should be teaching? They should be teaching our kids that. We should be teaching each other that. We should be making sure that that's how this country works. I don't know. Maybe I got too big of fucking dreams. But I would like one day to see the internet used for what its potential is. Its potential is so fucking unrealized that it's not even funny. We all have such the ability to have an impact. The step down to her level was right past the beginning of, right. I understand that, Yvonne. Her statement is she witnessed this man walking towards her. And you would be hard pressed to suggest stepping into a hallway that you're making a right-hand turn in. One stride can be defined as walking towards you. Not only that, her perspective is consistent with somebody walking towards her, not taking a step and walking away. But walking towards you would be consistent with the facial description and the outerwear description that she gave. And it's consistent with her statement, as is her actions that she closed her door and locked it. She was in frozen shock phase. Yeah, if he stepped down, he would have been closer than touching distance. He could have just leaned over and kissed her. That's how small this hallway is, Yvonne. So all I'm saying is that, is there room for error in my assessment? There is, but I'm only sticking with what they've given us. There's no mention of him stepping down. There's no mention of her witnessing him walk to the doorway. There's no mention of him being 10 inches away from me. The only mention she has of the perpetrator, according to her, is him walking towards her. And her door opens, just so you know. If you were to crack out her door, and a lot of people keep adding the word peeked. There is no word peeked in her story. None. I opened my door and looked out. On 3 separate occasions, she uses the clear term, I opened my door. I don't know how many of you consider an open door just a crack to peek out of. Right? Yeah, look at the screenshot. You'll notice that once you step down, I wish I had that video. I should cut it out and keep it. Of Zaina walking from the kitchen to the living area. That video is so damning to the perspective of what Dylan would have noticed. Right? So if he stepped down, he would have been absolutely at her level. And he would have then at that point been looking towards the screen door or the sliding glass door, looking towards the kitchen. Let's be, go walk through a room. You don't keep your eyes straight ahead while you're making a right turn into a room. Your eyes follow your travel, your direction, where your intended direction is or where your eyes are pointed. So for Dylan to say that he was walking towards her and she got a full-on look at his face, mask that covered his mouth and nose, and bushy eyebrows. So the only location that could happen is coming from the living area towards her. Once he stepped down, his whole head and body would be engaged into a right bend. He'd be heading out the house. She wouldn't have had a full-on view of his face. And then it just doesn't make sense that it wouldn't have happened as I'm saying. For her description, it's consistent. Her description, there's no ambiguity in it. And that step down is a big deal. What was that? The step down to her lower was right past the beginning of the hallway. Yeah, there was a picture on Lana had it. where you can actually see. There's a picture from that real estate company that was leasing it, and there's a picture from the living area shooting towards Dylan's room in the staircase. And in that image, you can see a floor molding. So you got molding that goes around doors. You all know that. You got molding that goes across your floor. And what you want to look at is the molding off of Dylan's bedroom door. Most moldings are between 2.5 and 4 inches in height on the floor in a modern home. I think 3.25 is the most common. If you look at that molding, you'll see that it's definitely shorter than the step down. That step down is at least 2 moldings high, which would make it roughly 6 inches higher. I mean, I'm going off of the images that we've all seen. Could I be wrong? Could it have been 4.75? Could it have been 6.5? Yeah. But you can see from when Zana walks from the kitchen into the living area, the height change on Zana, and I don't think she's much more than 5'5". The height change is dramatic. And I hope Ann considers that. And like I said, I'm very shocked or very upset now that they ripped that house down. Because you can never recreate that. You can never give that juror now the visual. Even if 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, any of those jurors took into consideration that layout of that house and her perspective, you would have a juror sitting on reasonable doubt for sure. Just because they had access to that crime scene. Yeah, you say they're smart, the attorneys are on it, but without the crime scene, they're going to need animations. And they're going to need an animation that puts people in Dylan's shoes looking out of her doorway towards the living area. And they're going to need to run somebody through that living area that appears 6 feet tall from her perspective. And then they're going to have to do it showing what happens when the person steps down and they lose that 5 inches of height. They can do that with video, Twiz. Then good. Then someone needs to put that together for them. Why don't you get on that? Because that's beyond my skill set. You know, sorry, there are some things I just cannot do. Tearing down the house was bad for sure. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. All right, well, look, this has been going on long enough. And I got to get me some snack before I get me some sleep. And I got to watch me some of my crime show TV stuff. And I appreciate it. I think it's awesome. I'm going to undo this. I'm going to remove that. My banners, I'm going to say, knowledge without action is a prison. Get rid of that. Come back into the comments. And I got to get rid of this. Remove. How do I do that? Stop sharing. And here's what I did tonight. I had a problem. We'll see if I have the same problem again. But I used what's it called? Firefox. What I did tonight was I used Firefox for the browser for the Google Voice. And I used Google Chrome for the StreamYard and all the other places. Rumble, YouTube, and Twitter. So all of you guys are being streamed to by my Google Chrome. I the last time used a Google Chrome tab to do the call-in, and I had a computer problem afterwards. But when I went back out and I looked around and how to use Google Voice with your StreamYard, and one person described, and that's what I mean. I had to go to 4 or 5 different people to come up with the ideas that work. One of the ideas that they say works well is use a separate browser to work with, and put your phone on the Google Voice on that other browser. Firefox, they mentioned a couple of them, and then use everything else directly from Google Chrome. We did that. The phone worked without a hitch. I don't have your number. I don't know how I would get your number, or let me see here. There's my email. DebbieKennedy@gmail.com. Listen, that number's public now. It's been out there. People are in the stream and they got, they want to call or they want to send a text. Go right ahead. I do have the ability to block you. So if some of these goofballs from Once Upon a Crime Time, Bubbly Waters or Julie's a profound autism freak, want to play stupid games, well, they can win stupid prizes. But any of you that are in here, you're welcome to give a ring. I appreciate y'all for listening to my fucking gabbing. And yeah. X people, thank you. Rumble and YouTube. Everybody have a good night. We'll talk with you again shortly. And it's off we go.